All right. And connecting. The Mega Man 11's fun. Hard. For me.
Oh, that's cool.
Fun.
Yeah, I haven't picked it up yet.
Capcom sent me a free copy.
Dude, no way, really?
Yeah, check out my Instagram. They even sent me a signed poster.
Dude, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it supposed to be like to review it, or how do you get that?
Oh, I won it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Some like podcast contest or whatever. So, like, ooh. Okay.
Sweet deal.
Then I got to demo Assassin's Creed Odyssey for like 3 hours on Friday morning. And I don't like that game.
You don't like that game?
No. Not really. I mean, it's fine, but Ubisoft did like a Star Wars Battlefront 2 with nerfing the level system. So you just have to fumble around for way too long just to level up, so you're not under-leveled going into certain missions. So so did the first few missions, to introduce the game, and then after that I'm like, I'm already under-leveled. Well, this is bullshit. How could I be under-leveled when the game just started?
Yeah.
And it's getting good reviews, and I'm like, no. And then later that afternoon, the Jim Sterling video came out, and he's like, this is bullshit. And I'm like, that's what I was going through. My God, doesn't anybody say the truth? And it's okay to not like a game.
Yeah.
And I love Assassin's Creed. I loved Origins. I really liked Origins. My gripe with Origins was the leveling system felt, kind of nerfed a little bit. I go, yeah, there's a little bit of a grind, but it's not horrendous, but I did think it was a little broken. But Odyssey ramped that up tenfold over, and I just went, oh my God, the one thing they didn't need to do, they did it. So I'm very pissed off about that.
Get a chance to play Fist of the North Star?
I have played Fist of the Yakuza, yeah.
Nice.
You're already drunk.
Yeah, I gotta pick that one up.
It's goofy. It's Fist of the North. It's more like Fist of the Blue Sky, which is kind of like the modernized Fist of the North Star, I guess.
Sure.
I'd prefer it. Well, it still has a lot of the 80s elements to it. There's a lot of people joining from on Periscope, so maybe we should get this going.
Yeah, I think we should start.
Wow. Okay. All right. I will go ahead and count down, and then you know what? I'll pull up the Podbean website. There we go. Cool. Violent. Yeah. All right. All right. I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty. Welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. It's episode 14 of the Wrestling Podcast Edition, otherwise known as the Wrestlecast. I'm your host, JD, joined here with the wrestling mastermind behind it all. He's Rad Zero. How you doing?
Excellent. I'm doing good, JD. Thank you for having me on another episode. Really excited what we have in store for our audience today.
Oh, it's a good one. So, this is I've done this episode as I like doing with the episode titles, is putting multiple pay-per-view titles together into one, and
right.
This is Death Before Fighting Spirit.
I like it.
Simple, and it gets a you can pretty much guess what we're going to talk about, but before we get to those, we got our usual WCW Thunder closing out the episode. However, if you tune in the live stream, you won't be able to hear this, but if you tune in via Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, via Red Leaf Retrocast, you can hear the exclusive 40-minute interview that I got to have with Beyond Wrestling's ring announcer, Rich Palladino. So that was quite something. It was right after an event, indie event I just went to from Beyond Wrestling. It's it's kind of the biggest local indie promotion in the Northeast, I would say.
Very cool.
Kind of like AAW is in the Chicago area. I believe Southwest Western's the biggest one. Southwest Wrestling is the biggest one in like the Texas, Louisiana area. So you might want to look at that, Red.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
I think that's where the Von Erich family kind of goes out of. I think they're also in Oklahoma. So yeah, the ending of the episode will be the Beyond Wrestling interview, which I was drunk at first, and then I sobered up because it was, it was 3 hours of wrestling. It was two beers for $5. I was like, I'm drinking.
Sweet deal.
Yeah, it was funny.
Makes the show that much better.
Oh, absolutely. And you're ringside. I mean, the place was a hookah bar in which they removed all the tables and just threw a ring in there. So it was like right next to a brick wall. It was quite funny.
Nice.
Yeah, some good wrestling there. I'm really getting to be a fan of Tracy Williams. He's the TV champion, kind of the internet champion, you might say, of Beyond Wrestling.
Okay.
He's really, really good. I've only seen him in Evolve a few times, because I've been to a bunch of Evolve events now, and I've been to a Beyond Wrestling show a few times, but now that I'm seeing more Tracy Williams, the difference in how the guy's booked is quite amazing. But anyways, we got a wrestler spotlight as Brad Armstrong. We've started seeing him on episodes of WCW Thunder, which we'll get to near the end. Then we got our indie scene, some WrestleRama 2 talk, women's wrestling update, Lucha Underground, little things. Got an interview with a guy who works with a press over in WXW to highlight a little bit of Tag League and how the promotion's looking heading into one of their major events of the year. So that's another interview for you. Look at me, Rad, getting all the exclusive interviews.
I know, right? You're already making the big time.
Yeah. And then we got some regular talk over the pay-per-views that everyone wants to hear about. Death Before Dishonor in Ring of Honor, Fighting Spirit Unleashed in New Japan, and then some WWE thoughts. And speaking of WWE thoughts, Rad, Super House Showdown was this morning.
Yes,
upon the recording
we're
today.
fresh right off of that show. Unfortunately, I didn't get to tune in. Obviously, it's early morning where we're located, JD. But I heard some good, some bad on social media. Maybe I'll check it out down the road. But there really was only a couple of matches I was interested in anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping myself that it wasn't going to turn into the Super House Showdown, but it did. It really was a house show. I did
Glorified house show.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
70,000 people witnessing, matches that you've seen pretty much on Raw week to week, or matches you've already seen. So, we got the rematch of Becky Lynch and Charlotte.
Or from Legends in their prime as well.
Oh, God, yeah. So funny. So I had fans kind of messaging me going, hey, you should probably check this out, because I've already said I'm not going to watch the whole event. I did watch AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. Match was good. It was good. I didn't really care for the booking with it's another case of Samoa Joe, being in the main event, and he just loses. Yeah, kind of like the Bray Wyatt treatment. I hate how that's a verb pretty much now. Did you get Bray Wyatted? Samoa Joe taps out clean to the calf crusher. So I don't know really where they're gonna go from there, if at all. Daniel Bryan rolled up Miz in, I guess, like 30 seconds, from what I read.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think...
Really quick.
Yeah, we're getting Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at Crown Jewel, and another pay-per-view I'm not going to watch. So I don't know if they're going to turn AJ Styles heel for the run, or shenanigans are going to ensue with the Miz. I don't know. Who cares, really? Yeah,
probably shenanigans, or we're just going to get one of those where it's like the special one-on-one Ring of Honor handshake type of deal. Just respect for one another.
WWE doesn't like doing that, though, as we've seen with even in NXT with the Ricochet Pete Dunne match.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a few weeks ago.
It's very rare we see something like that.
You might get a good match, but it won't finish. They never do. I mean, we've even seen that with on SmackDown. here's a match everyone wants to see, and then like a heel will show up and ruin it all.
Yeah, they just screw it all up.
Every time. It's just clockwork.
It's going to be the Miz and Samoa Joe getting involved.
Yeah, and that'll lead to, tag matches down the line. And oh god, Rad, I think you nailed it right on the head with that one.
Yeah, then we have a fatal 4-way to, the climatic event. So
maybe it's possible. It's very possible. Buddy Murphy won the cruiserweight title. In front of the hometown crowd. Good feeling. It's still 205 Live at the end of the day. Rad, sure. How I was trying to encourage some watching of 205 Live?
Yes.
Now that it's, moved to Wednesdays, I'm like, yeah, okay, that I guess it's more palatable, but at the end of the day, it almost seems like you have to watch it in chunks. Like you watch it for 3 weeks, and then you don't watch it for 2 months. And then you watch it for 3 weeks again, because it's still the same, 7 guys over and over and over again.
Right.
With not really any stories. It's just go out and have a match kind of deal.
Yeah, one-on-one, different date.
Yeah, I mean, I go to indie shows for that kind of thing. I don't think WWE has any business doing that kind of booking. It's just lazy.
I almost feel like if they really don't have anything for these guys, so it's kind of like a pseudo division and a pseudo television show, and they're like, you know what, just go ahead and perform on that show.
Yeah. And I'm getting real worried with NXT lately with the over amount of squash matches and.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not looking forward to that future TV spot either. I think it's going to change.
Yeah, I'm very worried about it personally. And if you're joining us on the live stream, welcome. A lot of people on Periscope joining us today. Thank you once again.
Welcome everyone.
Yeah, hit us up, Red Leaf Retrocast. Definitely, if you've liked the episode or will like the episode, hopefully, go to iTunes and Stitcher and leave us a review. That only helps us out and gets us higher in searches.
Well, I don't want to be our pull at Tony Schiavone here, JD, but I think we're on a streak where every single episode we do always tops the last one. So it's like the greatest episode in the history of the Red Leaf Wrestlecast.
Absolutely, Tony Schiavone from who's commentating in MLW apparently these days at major events. He would agree. Oh man. Oh, what else? Well, we'll get into Super Showdown and Crown Jewel or whatever, probably in episode 15. I hope to have the guys from the Smack It Down podcast, Jay and Corey. They went to the Super Showdown, so hopefully they can.
It would be good to hear how their experience went.
Yeah, that'd be more interesting than just say you and I just kind of going, it was a show, it happened,
right?
Yeah. Oh, what else is going on? Let's see here. Oh, Chapter 76, Hello Wembley from Progress dropped today. So once we're done podcasting here, Rad, I'm going to spend the rest of my night sipping tea and watching some brilliant indie British wrestling.
Nice. Sounds like a night, man.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited. So you can look forward to that in episode 15. That's going to be a show to definitely review. So, Rad, watch that sucker.
Will do.
Yeah, the biggest indie, the biggest British indie show, in the what'd they say, last 30 years or something wild. Oh,
okay, so it is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's a very much big deal. I even asked a lot of the indie guys about it from Beyond Wrestling. By the way, I got totally smashed with LAX and Jaka from Evolve.
Sure.
That was really funny. I post pictures on Instagram. There's even Santana from LAX photobombing me in the back for my pictures.
Oh, man.
I didn't notice until 3 days later.
Gotta get an Instagram.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can just Instagram.com @BowlingJD. BowlingJD. Alrighty. Well, let's get on to our wrestler spotlight. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely my favorite part of the show, man.
Bullet Club for life.
Alrighty, so our wrestler spotlight of the podcast this episode is over. Brad Armstrong, your suggestion, Rad. Tell us a little bit about Mr. Jobber American over here.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I was already kind of reading through the notes here on the agenda, so I think we might not see eye to eye. But growing up as a kid,
that was very apparent with the Twitter posts.
Yeah. Growing up as a kid, I just looked up to the guy. I always thought of him as a underrated superstar in WCW that never really was booked well. I think his purpose and his role was nothing more but a jobber, but he always made the other wrestler look good. Not much else to say about him other than he was an American hero, part of a very well-known family in the business, the Armstrongs. Incredible performer. Granted, if he had the correct stage, the correct booking, and the correct opponent, and a kick-ass theme song. I freaking love the theme song of the Armstrongs. Brad Armstrong pretty much adopted it as his own theme song in the late 90s. So I guess you can say I'm pretty much a fan of this obscure legend. May he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he passed away several years back. But here we are, giving the spotlight to... Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it's probably a roids thing.
So, oh man, it always is, especially a lot of wrestlers from that era, and that's unfortunate. Gone way too soon, way too young. I think the guy was maybe in his late 40s, early 50s, or something like that. So, but yeah, I mean, here we are talking about Brad Armstrong. In my opinion, he's still relevant to the business. I think he gave a lot of contributions to World Championship Wrestling. So I'm really excited that we're giving him the spotlight with the two matches, JD. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and take it away, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So, Brad Armstrong started in the 80s in the NWA, and his style definitely shows. That's for sure. So
you gotta love the haircut at Sambury.
Yeah, a slow, bumpy worker without much else. That's how I viewed him as. He had his brief run with the No Limit Soldiers and as a wrestler called Buzzkill, not a fan of that name. And you mentioned Famous Family. His brother is Road Dogg.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why I think the Buzzkill gimmick never worked, because people saw it as simply that, a knockoff of the Road Dogg Jesse James in WWF at the time. But not a lot of people were aware that they were actually brothers, so they just felt it was WCW's way of either making fun of the character or just simply ripping it off. And that really wasn't the case. There was an established connection there, but granted, only the hardcore wrestling fan purists knew that they were brothers. So
yeah, and without the internet, you couldn't just look it up.
Exactly, different time back then.
Yeah, different time. But yeah, the way we do the spotlight as we do is we pick two matches from our wrestler spotlight and just kind of get a handle on the guy. And I ended up, after the two matches, right, I'm gonna be honest, I looked up some of his NWA matches.
Oh, cool. Okay.
To get more of a feel on the guy. And so after we talk about the two matches, then I'll talk about how he looked in NWA in the 80s. So, first match is versus Dean Malenko for the Cruiserweight Championship at Slamboree 1996. And this was actually the first ever Cruiserweight title match on a WCW pay-per-view. Did not know that.
Yeah, I kind of was just reminded that looking over the match. So I was like, you know what? There's at least something else to that show other than the famous body slam on Eric Bischoff to the table by the Outsiders. That was Slamboree, right?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole pay-per-view. All I remember, looking for the match and kind of going through the pay-per-view itself, it was kind of this weird tournament thing, and I was very confused. That's a pay-per-view like for a different time and era to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So the match goes 8.5 minutes with more than 5 minutes of it just being Dean Malenko doing technical legwork, just showing off. Dean Malenko showing off what he's capable of working a match. And Armstrong just kind of bumped around and didn't do much. He didn't even sell the leg really at all. When he made his quote-unquote comeback, he just kind of shook it off like it never happened, like he hasn't been getting his leg work. And that was something that stuck out to me, because, Dean Malenko's not the most charismatic guy in the world. He needs any wrestler to help him in that aspect. That's why his matches with Jericho stands out to me.
Right.
And then have an opponent like Brad Armstrong here, who doesn't really do anything charismatically himself. It really came off as just, here's a match just kind of happening in front of me, and the fans, I think, felt the same way at the time, because they were very out of it themselves. Yeah,
they were quite. I kind of like how Bobby the Brain Heenan pointed out that they were just so into the match to watch wrestling, that's why they were quiet, because they weren't going to the bathroom or going to pick up a beer or something. So even they noticed, but I think he tried to give his charm into kind of like turning around on what it really was. But I mean, bottom line is Brad Armstrong always had that jobber feel to the match, itself. They even had a thing going on for a time where they called it the Armstrong curse, because he pretty much lost every single match. But one of the reasons why I picked this match is because since he was going up against Dean Malenko, it's probably one of the most technical works that he's ever done. And the fact that it might have been his highest profile match, being that it's a championship match at a pay-per-view. And now that we just learned that the highlight of the pay-per-view that night was that this was the first ever Cruiserweight Championship match at a WCW pay-per-view. So
yeah, so at 6 minutes, that's when Armstrong had his little comeback, and he hits a punch, a missile dropkick, really bad looking missile dropkick, by the way, and then that was it.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah,
that was it. That was the extent of his comeback. If you're gonna have a match like this, I think Malenko did way too much, technical work here. Highlighted himself more than anything. I guess that shows Armstrong as a selfless worker, if anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Malenko, man of 1,000 holds, one facial expression, retains in the end.
I like that.
Yeah. Not much else to say here, other than I never want to see a match so one-sided and then the guy ends up losing anyways, kind of deal. I don't think that's ever gonna come across as a match you'll remember down the line. So the second match here is versus Berlin, aka Alex Wright, at Halloween Havoc in 1999.
Right.
Now, Alex Wright, and the Alex Wright character I definitely preferred over Berlin, because, well, the Berlin name's really stupid, especially when he comes out. He's from Berlin, Germany. Here's Berlin. Yeah. I was like, oh, God. But he has a cool little gimmick and music to go along with it. And the bodyguard he has is just this massive German-looking guy. So yeah, it works. And then here comes out Brad Armstrong, Mr. America, in a big white sweatshirt with an American flag on it, like just screaming nobody to me.
Okay, well, let me tell you this. Now, this was another match I chose, JD, because this is probably the highest profile match involving a storyline that Brad Armstrong at least had late in his career. And the story behind this match was that Berlin kind of bullied his brother, Scott Armstrong, earlier in the night, or I want to say maybe it might have been on the Monday Nitro the week before. So he kind of like beat him down.
Of that happening.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So then Brad Armstrong got involved and, kind of like, grabbed his shirt and looked at him and, he's like, hey, you're an America boy, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
very 101, isn't it?
Yeah. So he was obviously the face in this match. So this was a USA versus Germany type of thing. Not to mention that this was Alex Wright's new character. He went from, a techno dancer to I guess a German vampire. I mean, it has nothing to do with what they were trying to go for here, but I mean, it was 1999, so I guess they changed his haircut, they changed his look. He came off more as a vampire to me, but it was supposed to be a German gimmick, Berlin from Berlin. So
yeah, he had this kind of I took it as a fan of the opera type gimmick, especially with the V kind of mohawk thing going on. That's pretty wild. That was a pretty wild haircut. Yeah. Definitely made him stick out more. But the match itself, I mean, it went 4.5 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, very
Berlin
short.
hits his offense on Armstrong, and then he goes for a neck breaker in which Armstrong held the ropes, and then he just simply pinned him. I was like, okay, did I miss something? But you're right. Like this was probably, upon research, this was probably his most highlighted feud.
Yeah.
And he was definitely getting the baby face sympathy here, especially with the two big Germans just beating him up post match as well. And he did get the win, and the feud continued thereafter. So more power to him. I just don't think this should have been, say, at a pay-per-view if they were going to go this direction with it. But hey, it's WCW, isn't it?
Yeah, they very famous for having filler matches at pay-per-views.
Yeah. So upon these two matches, Brad. Brad.
We're talking about Brad Armstrong.
Yeah. Upon these two matches, I was asking myself then, why are people like you and Travis and everyone else in our chat that like retro wrestling, at this point retro wrestling, high on this Brad Armstrong guy? And I just couldn't figure it out, because A, I didn't remember the guy at all. B, I just watched essentially two matches where he just got the shit kicked out of him for 5+ minutes So I looked up a little bit of his history, and yeah, he started in the NWA, specifically in like the Southwest area, the Texas area, and you can find various like highlight packages and YouTube videos of NWA thing. He looks like a totally different guy. Obviously, probably on roids from the way his body looked and was built, and especially his chest area.
Oh yeah, when he was younger, he was a lot bigger towards the end of his career, where he seemed a lot smaller.
Yeah. And his NWA matches, and this is why I love going back and watching NWA type stuff, especially in that 80s frame, the early 80s and mid 80s. You know, that was the day when Lex Luger was actually a kind of a good wrestler.
Yeah, he
had good feuds to go with his shitty wrestling. So Brad Armstrong was very much in that same way. A lot of the booking involved, had the when you say NWA, you think kind of blading, sneaky roll up finishes, hard hitting, and every match that I saw Brad Armstrong with, they were throwing legit punches. He was throwing legit chops, taking bumps. He had offense shown off. It wasn't this jobber type guy that we just covered in WCW. His NWA character looked a lot more appealing, and the stories involving with him weren't this weird 90s gimmick. So I think, how we talked about via Sold Out, the Zbyszko Scott Hall match?
Yeah.
How Zbyszko was a product of his time. His style just didn't translate right into the new era of the 90s. Mm-hmm. I think Brad Armstrong is that same guy. I think his style and the way he learned the industry changed too much, and he couldn't change with it.
You know what? I think you nailed it, JD. That best describes his style, and I think from where he started and how he was trained, definitely the oldest style. Even his gear, back in the day, you can kind of tell who were veterans in WCW, and they always had their initials on either their tights or their boots. Right. And this is something Brad Armstrong did as well. You saw Ric Flair do the same thing, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Larry Zbyszko. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of goes to show you the era that he's from. Granted, he was a lot younger than any of those other legends, but it just shows that he was definitely trained in that style, and I think it just didn't translate well into the 90s, and obviously WCW booking didn't help with that. So here we had somebody who was, ahead of his game in the 80s, suddenly become a jobber and lose every single match.
Yeah. So I'm not saying I dislike Brad Armstrong, but the 90s, I didn't like him. In the 80s, he seemed like a much better guy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Which wrestler said it where if you can't adapt your style and character is Chris Jericho. If you can't adapt your style and character with the times, change who you are, then the industry is going to leave you behind. And that's exactly what happened with Brad Armstrong. And I believe Brad Armstrong was later hired in WWF/E to be a trainer and producer. And that is not the guy that you want. I could be honest here. I don't think that's the kind of guy I would hire. Someone who's been left behind in the industry and can't adapt to be not only a trainer for styles that just don't exist anymore, and producing matches for matches that he fell out with decades ago. And I think that's why he just didn't have the job very long as well.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think that does it for what I have to say with Brad Armstrong. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, just may he rest in peace, and I'm just glad we were able to give him the spotlight on this episode.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of how we did, what was the other jobber's name? The guy who smoked the big cigar. and face Doink the Clown. Whatever.
Yeah, I
the
figured.
first ones.
Right.
So, let me play this drop and we can get into our indie scene.
You got it.
Alrighty. Where's Walter? There he is. Moving right along. So this is our tier 3, our indie promotions, and Brad, I was mentioning this before, how I always want to keep the podcast ever so improving, making every episode better than the last, instead of going about how I like to pick an event that occurred, that's worth talking about, and then breaking down the matches, why I liked it, why I disliked it. I feel now, at this point, we're 14 episodes in, that if you want to hear how Rad and I look at matches, then you can easily just listen to a past episode, just pick, a match, and you can get our feel for how we look at things. Now, I think we're going to go more into what's worth talking about, what we're hyped for, what we're excited for, maybe things that we dislike, what's going on. You feel that's a good little change?
I guess it provides more topics of discussion than rather just going down the line and providing results for every single part of the show. Yeah.
So in this case, I wanted to bring up one particular match that went free on YouTube. I'm not subscribed to OTT anymore. That time came and passed. Promotion just doesn't quite. I mentioned before, the promotion, it's too hit or miss with me, but they do have some good matches, and this one went free on their YouTube page recently. It's from WrestleRama 2, which went in mid-August, and it was Walter versus the champion Jordan Devlin. And for those not familiar with OTT, it's over-the-top wrestling. It's out of Ireland, so pretty cool stuff. This match went 20 minutes, and Rad, this is why I wanted to bring it up for a sense of topic. This had that old-school territory-type match feel.
Okay.
Think of like let's say if Hulk Hogan from the WWF, in the Northeast, went down to Midwest Jerry Lawler's, and where Macho Man came out of, and they went down to challenge the champion there. So obviously the whole fan base would be 100% behind, say, the champ Jerry Lawler, and be against the guy coming in. He's from out of town type deal, Right. We don't want him to win. This is our title. This is our champion. And that's what this match felt like. Walter's this foreigner, this big bad foreigner, who's coming in to try and take, our champion down, our title down. And the whole and Walter's very over. He is super popular in Europe. He's super popular in America. He's a worldwide name now. WWE wants this guy bad. And here he comes into Ireland, and he is just booed so hard. Jordan Devlin comes out, and he is just, and obviously the size, if you're familiar with both guys, the size differential is quite outstanding. So, and because it was mid-August, like it just looks visibly hot. Like guys are just sweating buckets in there. So, the way the match was built to have this kind of territory feel came off amazing. You can I encourage anyone to go check this out on YouTube. It's so it's a vibe I haven't felt in a wrestling match in I don't know. I don't know, Rad. That's why I was so stunned watching this. It had a David Goliath type feel. The video package, get a load of this. The video package was just absolutely crazy because I hadn't been keeping up with OTT. So the video package was, it's 2018. Video packages are always well put together now, I feel. If it's not put together well, then that person probably needs to be laid off or go to school again or something.
Yeah.
So basically, this is how the video package went down. Was Walter shows up. He's the next big bad foreigner to challenge Jordan Devlin. Nothing new, right? Jordan Devlin's got the nickname the Import Killer. And Walter shows up and, like, beats the shit out of his friend, like, right away. And it shows, like, his friend backstage, and Walter, of course, the major chops. Just, like, his chest is bleeding, and he's got massive bruising on his neck from the stiff forearms that Walter likes using. You know, very strong style.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and Jordan Devlin's, like, visibly scared. I did catch the tag match where Jordan Devlin got, you know, pinned in the match, and he was visibly, you know, kind of worried about his title. You know, a lot of good character work. And then David Starr was in Devlin's corner for this match, and, you know, if you're listening, if this isn't the first podcast you've listened to, you're well aware that David Starr can't beat Walter in anywhere, any place, including in Beyond Wrestling. And Timothy Thatcher, Walter's tag team partner, was in his corner. So it almost felt like a little faction rivalry type thing, as well as this territory match. Have you watched a match recently that gave you this territory feel? Like, when was the last time you watched something like that?
Oh, man. It's been a long while, JD. I mean, I want to say maybe the closest that we've probably seen something like it was probably Jericho Omega, but even we all understood that Jericho was already free agent, so I guess it really doesn't count as him representing, you know, WWE in any shape or form. But yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything like that. I mean, this really does sound like it has that when worlds collide type of feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, the match ended with Walter using a sit-out pile driver, and the crowd just jaw drops. Like, I mean, I didn't expect Walter to win either, and I'm a huge Walter mark. I mean, I was happy.
That says a lot.
Because now he's won yet another European title. Crazy. So yeah, WrestleRama 2, Walter versus Jordan Devlin on Over the Top Wrestling's YouTube page. It's free to go watch. I encourage everyone to go watch it. It's one of the standout matches. Women's wrestling update. One of your favorite topics, Rad.
Yeah, absolutely.
How caught up are you with the Mae Young Classic, by the way?
Just results here or there. I haven't had the chance to actually, tune in.
Okay. Well, I'm one episode behind myself. It's been a busy week. But the 5-star Grand Prix over in Stardom finally came to an end. And Mayu Iwatani, she was my runner-up pick, so I didn't get the winner correct. But I did get her in the finals correct. It went to the last day, Rad, with like 8 people in the running to possibly win. And there was a lot of stories being told within Stardom itself. Not so much around the foreigners that were there. Kind of to be expected. I think Stardom could do with some story booking with the foreigners, personally, because they bring them in all the time. You might as well, have something for them other than go out and have a match. But hey, that's just me. The big story coming out of it was definitely the super rookie, Utami Hayashishita. If you remember me, no, you missed the women's wrestling episode.
Yeah,
I did that with Travis, Hibiki TMD. Go check him out on YouTube. And then in the previous episode was kind of a catch-up. So, for your sake, Rad, Utami is someone who just made their pro wrestling debut 2 months ago. And she made it all the way to the finals. And faced Mayu Iwatani. And, holy hell. Like, what a performance. She completely ruined my predictions bracket. Because I didn't know who she was. Nobody knew who she was. And all of a sudden she's booked to win, like, all these matches, including getting to the finals. And, like, geez, broken.
Oh, man.
Like, if I pretty much got all of her matches, like, predicted incorrectly except one. Like, I was horrible. Good showing from her. How do you feel about, like, rookies being booked so strong like this? Think of, like, the Ronda Rousey in WWE right now. That's another example of a rookie. Like, she's already champion and double armbarring people and
Okay, well, this is where you kind of compare and contrast when it's actually done right, and obviously Ronda Rousey's rookie booking to win situation in WWE is only because of who she is by name and her background and whatnot. Versus Utami in this case, that she comes in and she's booked to win. Obviously, the promotion has a lot of faith in her for a reason. Probably know more about her than any fan tuning in. As far as my thoughts on that, I think I'm cool with it because I think sometimes it can provide in-depth character to the wrestler that they're trying to build up. A lot of people might say, oh no, yeah, they don't deserve it, they haven't been there long enough. But I mean, sometimes when somebody has a strong start like that, they're already building a foundation to their legacy, and it might just work in the case of Utami. It's worked with wrestlers in the past. For example, I guess I'll just go with the legendary The Undertaker when he debuted as well.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just has to be done right. I think in this case,
Goldberg would be another case.
Goldberg would be another case. Of course, I think that was a case that was done right because the streak was part of his charm and part of why you attended a show to see that streak continue. So it's just part of the charm of the character. So I'm okay with it. We saw the same thing with Asuka. Of course, I don't know if they booked her like that back when she was a rookie in Japan, but either way, it sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it sounds like it's a winner.
Yeah, she was able to hold her own very well in matches. I mean, she was exposed quite a few times, especially as the tournament went on. Be it fatigue. I guess maybe the endurance, she's not quite used to it yet. I mean, we see guys in New Japan in the G1 just get visibly exhausted with doing like 20 matches in a month or so. I mean, it's 10 matches for the women, but when I compare like a man's body and a woman's body with endurance factor, more often than not, the man can handle more. But I think like 10 matches for a woman, mixing in travel and especially with the foreigners, when the tournament started, I noticed Kimberly was, in her first match, she looked slow, and I go, is this the veteran slowing down? No, it was like visibly jet lag that I came to it kind of clicked later. I'm like, oh, she was probably like heavily tired, that kind of thing. Because she looked much better in her later matches, especially at the end of the tournament. So you could definitely tell the veterans that were in this tournament still looked good all the way to the end. Mayu Iwatani, Kagetsu, Momo Watanabe, another like very young up and comer. I mean, she was one of the highlights of the tournament herself. I mean, I got some best matches from the 5-star Grand Prix listed here. The finals, obviously a good one. Hazuki versus Momo Watanabe. Mayu Iwatani versus Momo, and Stardom themselves awarded the Jungle Kiona Kagetsu as best match. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but it was definitely a really good match to add to the list.
Okay.
So I thought Mayu and Momo was probably my favorite, and ironically enough, all these matches I just listed here all went to draws, except the finals.
Oh, wow.
They all went to 15-minute draws. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of tells you about how everything was booked for the 5-star Grand Prix, and I'm not. I think with the way they're trying to keep wrestlers looking strong in their promotion and making because I noticed the young workers got to really be highlighted here. Hazuki, Momo, Mayu, they're all 25 or younger. Meanwhile, the Kagetsu, Jungle Kiona, the veterans, they still look strong. They're also in a different block. It was kind of the veteran block, and then the block B was the young block, and the young block like really came out of this tournament looking great, and so did Rachel Ellering. She was in the veteran block, and she came out looking like a masterclass of someone who's improved so much over the last year. So, how do you feel about draws, like being in tournaments like this all the time?
By the way you described it, it sounded like it might have been a little bit too much, but there's probably a reason why they're doing that moving forward. Again, going back to how things are done, as long as it's executed right, I think it's okay for the story they're trying to tell. but yeah, when done too many times, I think the fans can quickly grow bored of that. And as we've seen, a lot of wrestling fans aren't fans of draws. Everybody wants a finish.
I'm okay with draws. It's the DQ finishes. I am beyond that in my life. I was beyond that in 2001.
Right.
That's kind of why WCW kind of fell out of favor. Well, I mean, WCW is still getting 2 million viewers an episode. Whether it be Nitro or Thunder, all the way to the end. So regardless, but they didn't change their... Anyway, I'm getting off topic there. The point is that the 5-Star Grand Prix was really fun to watch. I would say the main issue I had was kind of the beginning matches of every night that occurred. Like the Sakis, the Tam Nakanos of the world in Stardom. They got hit with a lot of bumps and bruises. They're visibly not as fluid in the ring. It reminds me of a lot of Western wrestling talents out there. It's just they have their key moves. They do those, and it's their opponent that kind of does everything else in the match. So, moving on. I'm kind of rambling at that point. Lucha Underground. Yeah, Lucha Underground Season 4 is still going strong. We got zombie heel Phoenix rise from the dead. He's now an evil guy dressed in all black. It's quite funny in a way. He's like drooling and attacking women.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Like ex-girlfriend. But yeah, he's a heel now. It's kind of odd. How up to date on Lucha Underground are you, Red? Or have you?
I haven't seen anything. No, I haven't seen anything with from the new season. At least not yet.
Okay. Well, Phoenix died in kind of a casket match, and his soul was sucked from his body to bring someone else back.
That's just the kind of charm you gotta love about Lucha Underground.
Yeah, and then Aerostar went back in time and got his soul back into his body, but he's ripped from time. It will take time for him to kind of get his mind to come back. And his girlfriend's like, oh, okay, and Phoenix turns up and turns heel. He's dressed in all black. He's drooling. So I have a feeling they have big plans for this version of Phoenix. The big story coming out of the last few episodes was definitely Marty the Moth Martinez is now the new Lucha Underground champion, beating.
Oh, okay.
Because heel Phoenix attacked the Gift of the Gods champion, kind of like the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Beat him down, and then Marty the Moth bribed the commissioner into getting a title match, and he's like, well, if you can't compete, I mean, you're just gonna have to give it to Marty over here. He's like, okay, I'll compete, and then he gets beat, and then later in the night, Marty cashed in the belt to beat Pentagon after Pentagon went through, I believe it was a triple threat match with Mil Muertes and King Cuerno. And that was another case of Marty bribing ownership, because you're supposed to give the champion a week's notice, before you can cash in. And then, so Marty, the owner goes, and Marty convinced me that that's a stupid rule, and he has a bunch of money with him, and he's like, here you go. And so Marty won via doing that and a mixture of Chelsea Green showing up and giving Pentagon a Canadian destroyer.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was fucking fun. She was drooling too. I don't know what's with all these characters in Lucha Underground drooling. They're all possessed by evil Aztec spirits. So Lucha Underground's crazy. I haven't caught up with this week's episode, but I'm sure it's just as nuts and crazy. But that was the big story coming out of it. Pretty funny, to be honest. The matches are getting better. I will say that. Rad, if you remember, I was kind of not totally feeling the way the wrestling was going down. Yeah. How I thought a lot of the matches weren't given enough time. They were mostly short and just, here you go, here's another match kind of feel as well. As the season's gone on, especially with, the last few episodes, all the stories are kind of coming together, and the matches are being given more and more time to really highlight. The Mexican death match comes to mind with Pentagon and who was he facing? Was it Brian Cage in that one? No, the Mexican death match was Mil Muertes against DeMac, or Willie Mack, or whatever name he's going by this week in whatever promotion he goes to.
Yeah, it's always changing.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. DeMac attacked Mil Muertes as well, so that they're going to have a rematch. So it's all building towards kind of that Azteca finale, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
So let's see. Speaking of luchadors, one of my favorite tag teams coming out in 2018 is the Mexa Blood, the team of Bandito and Flamita. Someone you've probably been paying more close attention to, Rad, recently, especially since All In, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, they won the Progress titles at Progress Chicago versus the team CCK. They won this one was Chris Brooks, and I guess Grisham either got injured or booking kind of didn't go right, but Era Fox became the new partner. So Bandito and Flamita won the Progress titles there. They also had a great match against the Lucha Bros at AAW on August 30th. So, and if you're subscribed to Progress Wrestling, you get AAW with that as well, which is pretty cool, because that Chicago promotion, again, is very solid. They get a lot of talent. I mean, Pentagon and Phoenix are there with the Mexa Blood. There you go. I think Sami Callihan shows up there. ACH is the current champion. But the point I want to bring in, the matches were fucking fantastic. CCK is just killing it. Chris Brooks can have any partner he needs, and the tag matches are going to be very good. But how do you feel about like major title changing on like tour shows or house shows specifically?
Yeah, I like it. I don't know if the same rule applies to AAW or any shows of that nature. But in WWE, whenever something like this happens, whether it be at a live show, obviously it's always for a reason, because maybe the other wrestler, the champion, might have been injured, so this is their way of writing them off. But it's like whenever it happens, I'm like, holy crap, that happened. It's like a major update. It's like breaking news, because it never happened. So it's kind of like a surprise. Granted, it's not documented, as in you probably won't get a DVD release on that title change. Right. But I think it's pretty cool. It's unpredictable, and I think that's what it's all about here. And it creates craze and gets people talking,
especially in today's day and age with the internet being a thing.
Exactly.
I'm not sure how I feel about what Progress did on their recent tour. I mean, hell, I went to one of the shows. I went to the one in Boston. There was no story involved with a lot of it. It was just kind of stipulations where it was win 3 matches, then you get a title shot on the tour, or win 3 matches, and then if you have the 3rd match, then you get a title shot at Wembley kind of deal. It was all kind of like, I get it. You wanted to be the champion. Everyone was gunning for the titles. That's very important. I mean, I felt that when I was at the Boston show. It was fun to see. Every match felt like it mattered. I'm not sure how it would come across watching it live, because when I was watching this Bandito Flamita match against CCK, and this match in particular, no, it was good, don't get me wrong, but the title change, it didn't sit well with me. I think because I just saw like 2 shows prior CCK winning the titles. Who won? Did CCK beat Zach Gibson and his partner. They were the Progress Tag Champs. So, we'd already seen a couple title changes already. I think maybe it's because it was the second one. That's what didn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
Made the new champions look weak kind of deal. Yeah. It's not a huge issue with me. I mean,
Maybe you just think their run should have been or gone, a lot longer, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's just a feeling. Regardless, the matches were still good. So, Impact Wrestling, they're in Mexico right now. First
are they
ever.
really?
Yeah. So they've had a few episodes. Again, haven't caught the most recent episode of Impact, but there's still some interesting stories coming out of Impact with they were in Toronto for a while from Slammiversary. This is all building to Bound for Glory in New York, but now they're in Mexico, so there's a lot of fresh blood coming in to challenge the talent of Impact Wrestling. So I think it's going well. Compared to Canada, though, when they were there, there's a lot of lost in translation I'm feeling here on this tour. A lot of the Mexican wrestlers don't speak English, so there's no... one thing Impact Wrestling's been nailing, in my opinion, recently is their stories and the feuds being built around that with promos.
Yeah.
So a lot of these wrestlers coming in, such as Fabi Apache challenged Tessa Blanchard for the women's title. There was a confrontation backstage in one episode where Fabi Apache, was noticing Tessa Blanchard's not showing any respect. She's in Mexico now, and she's doing the promo tour in Spanish, all well and good. This is pre-taped. This is pre-taped, by the way.
Okay.
Right? And you know how I feel about pre-taped things. If it's pre-taped, you can have subtitles. Well, Impact's not having those subtitles, so all of these promos are just totally lost. Right? Because it's Spanish, you grasp a couple words here and there, like respect this and respect that kind of deal.
Sure.
The way the cards are being set up, it's making sense. It's a lot of building towards things. Taya Valkyrie is going to be the next challenger, so she cut a promo in both English and Spanish. So she's a perfect opponent right now. Being in Mexico and building for Bound for Glory. Because she can speak both languages. That's in my opinion,
her background is from over there, so...
Yeah, she's Lucha royalty. So I think that was great booking right there. That was a great decision. LAX, with the the kind of the gang warfare feud. Do you think that feud's a little too edgy? Or have you totally kept up with that?
Not since some of the other controversial stuff, but I think it's already become a thing where now it's just known that if you're going to see, an LAX match, rest assured, any of the promos and whatnot, they're going to push the envelope.
Mm-hmm. Do you
Part
think
of their
it's too
show,
edgy
I guess.
right now, or do you think it's good?
I would say it's good, but because we're longtime wrestling fans, JD, obviously we're very familiar with real hardcore wrestling, frontier martial arts wrestling, WWF Attitude Era. So something like this really isn't a big deal. But anybody that, you're talking about maybe new fans that barely got into wrestling, whether it be 5-10 years ago, even during the Ruthless Aggression era, they might not be too comfortable with some of the stuff they're pulling off.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I could see that. I think with the ratings Impact's getting, it's still getting about 200,000 views, which is still the same like the beginning of the year had. So,
yeah, unfortunately.
So to me, and I've called people out on the podcast before,
should tune in.
Here I go again, tooting the horn. Impact Wrestling's good right now. They have good feuds building. If you don't have to like every feud. You don't have to like Sami Callihan throwing in your fire promos with to the Lucha Bros and Brian Cage. Good feud building, by the way. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do with Brian Cage in the X Division title at this point. By the way, nice guy. Met him at Beyond Wrestling. Yep.
Yeah.
Took a picture with the X Division title. By the way, the Impact titles look fucking sweet.
Oh, they always have. I think they have some of the best championships in the game.
Especially the new Knockouts title. That thing is so slick looking. Right now, to me, that is the premier women's title in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
It is good looking. They're booking it to matter. And Tessa Blanchard is crushing it as champion. A lot of people don't like her voice, but hey, to each his own. Not everybody likes everybody's voice, I suppose. Yeah, hopefully you like mine and Rad's.
Right.
So, two other things. Johnny Impact, Johnny Wrestling, or not Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Impact, John Hennigan, whatever you want to call him this week. Austin Aries, they're going at it at Bound for Glory, which this is just going to be a stupid fun. I'm totally not paid for this promotion, but I'm going to do it anyways. I got myself, Rad, a free Comda.com Impact Bound for Glory hat.
Nice.
Yeah, you can.
Cheap plug.
Yeah, cheap plug that I'm not getting paid for, but it's still funny. It's funny to say because I'm hearing it all the time on Impact Wrestling. Brought to you by Comda.com. It's like a. Yeah. I've never even heard of Comda.com before this, but it's like this business home office store that's online. Think of like Office Max, but it's called Comda now. You can go on their website and get this. Honestly, the hats are very sweet. They're like $30+ hats, and you just pay for shipping. You put the promo code in, you just pay for the $10 shipping, and that's across US and Canada.
Oh, cool.
But Austin Aries and John Morrison, Johnny Impact, Johnny Nitro, whatever he's called, Austin Aries are going at it. Johnny Impact is a high profile player. Austin Aries and Eli Drake have already, kind of gone at it. Who else but Johnny Impact is the guy for Austin Aries to face? I feel like Impact has to build new stars.
Yeah.
Before they can. So I think Johnny Impact here is the good opponent and the right opponent right now.
Yep.
And so you're in agreement with that?
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think this is also their chance to kind of like maybe, even if it's going to be for a short while, just establish a face of the company, and who better than Johnny Impact?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about his elbow injury right now. He was at like a photo shoot and he oiled up his body real hard, and then he tried like a parkour move and kind of dislocated his elbow.
No way. Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, he posted on Twitter like body oil and parkour doesn't mix.
Holy cow.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So but Austin Aries, to me, has been crushing it as champion. He's got this, Moose turned heel, which I am, like, it surprised me, and I think it's a good move. Money Moose is kind of what he's going by now. He's coming out in real goofy looking expensive clothing. Killer Cross is just this scary looking bodyguard. I've seen him in AAA Lucha Libre, and I don't know why I'm continuing to watch like their YouTube channel shows, but Killer Cross is there. He's, good characters, terrible wrestling kind of thing. That's what AAA Lucha Libre is. And Killer Cross he's actually just showed up in Lucha Underground again recently, so I'm curious what they're going to do with that. He goes by the White Rabbit or some shit there.
Even more of a wacky gimmick they're probably going to do with him. So
yeah, he's still got, he really reminds me of kind of like a Batman villain, and that's who he comes across as in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
And that kind of serious psychotic character, not the gimmick, but the character, translates over into being this super bodyguard for Austin Aries. I personally want to see Brian Cage versus Killer Cross for the X Division title.
Sure.
I would love to see that. That would give Killer Cross something more to do than being this... don't get me wrong. He's an awesome bodyguard. It's probably the best booked-looking bodyguard I've seen in a long time. Because, we just talked about Berlin and his bodyguard, and I couldn't even tell you that guy's name. I just know he's a big German. And that's kind of
the wall.
Yeah. And to be honest, a lot of bodyguards don't do anything. They just kind of get in the way most of the time, Or they'll do post-match beatdowns. No, Killer Cross he is part of that group. He is a major player with Austin Aries. I don't feel like he's getting in the way. I don't feel like he's being booked weak at all. He's a psycho-looking guy, and he's coming across the right way with me. Let's see. Oh, and Scarlett Bordeaux, the smoke show. The Shut Up 5, the 10 speaking kind of thing.
She's killing it, man.
She is absolutely killing it. Her backstage her backstage segments are ridiculous and funny, and
she's always picking on that interviewer, the famous interviewer. What's her name? She's the one that she famously called. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, man, that stuff is just hilarious. Their ongoing feud is funny, and it all started because she called her a 5 or a 2 or what the hell did she call her?
5 of 10 is talking.
It was awesome. Yeah,
that was great. She's not a 5, but all right. Yeah, so Scarlett Bordeaux's story now is because a few weeks ago, she kind of motivated Falaba into, going for the championship. He had a title match against Austin Aries, and funny enough, like just 2 weeks ago on NXT, we saw the dude from Heavy Machinery, Dozovic, fight Ciampa for the title.
Oh yeah, okay.
Kind of the goofy big guy fighting the heel champion. Well, this was Falaba against Austin Aries, but Scarlett Bordeaux kind of motivated him to go through with the match and get all of his nerves out. And it was a well booked kind of comedy-esque wrestling match. It felt different, and I really liked it. At first I was like, this is gonna be stupid, but how it all came together ended up being, for a good show. And so Scarlett Bordeaux's new thing is she goes, I motivated this undercard guy into the main event. Who am I gonna manage next? So who's gonna be her who's she gonna manage? Rad? I kind of like her not wrestling. I kind of like her in this role a lot.
Well, I kind of like her in both, but as the role of a manager, yeah, that's pretty badass.
Do you have anybody in mind you'd like to see her manage?
Oh man, I can't think of anything right now that would actually click with the with what's going on right now in Impact Wrestling. But at this point, I'm pretty sure it's going to be somebody big. It's got to be.
Well, Chris Jericho's rumored to show up in Impact any day now.
Oh, really? I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. Well, him and Don Callis are like buddies,
Yeah.
And Don Callis' reaction to Scarlett Bordeaux every time she's on screen is absolutely hysterical. He's like, "Oh my god, my pants just got tightened," kind of Jerry Lawler type stuff. They're not beating around the bush on this stuff. I mean, she's wearing like showing off her underboobs and the super sexy outfits. That's the character.
That's the character. She's definitely hot. She knows it.
Yeah, she will not be hot shamed, Rad. So dumb.
So yeah, I mean, as far as Chris Jericho's concerned, I don't know. I think Jericho's a little bit too big for to be managed by Scarlett. But yeah,
I agree. I agree with
that.
But
it definitely will be a name. I hope so. I don't watch him pull out. I don't know. Let's hope Impact does something good with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I did see a short little Twitter video of Petey Williams trying to teach her a Canadian destroyer. So he
oh really?
Yeah,
okay.
So he kind of gets under her legs and kind of the pedigree situation.
Oh yeah, we all remember that.
Yeah, he had a big little smile on his face. He's like, "Let me show you."
Well, that's cool. I think Petey Williams would be a good one. If she was going to manage him, I think they would, click.
Yeah, I was thinking like a Petey Williams, Trevor Lee. Like that was the first name that came to my mind because I really like Trevor Lee and Caleb Conley. That kind of those guys used to be a really good tag team, and they've really fallen out into the undercard, kind of losing matches all the time. They don't have a lot of charisma, to kind of be the face of a division. But with someone like Scarlett Bordeaux, because they're really good wrestlers. I think Caleb Conley's like been the champion in one of the independent promotions he frequents for like a year or something. I think that's correct. And then Trevor Lee's really good. I mean, his X Division championship run was excellent, but he just lacks something, and I think that something could be Scarlett Bordeaux. That's just me. I mean, that was the first name that just popped into my head. Hopefully, you know what? Here's a name: Tracy Williams over from Beyond. Get him an Impact. I really like him. Get him with Scarlett Bordeaux. So there's a plug.
Yeah, well, she would definitely, I guess, elevate anybody who would end up in that role. Not sure about Trevor Lee because I would say maybe it's got to be somebody of equal caliber as far as like the looks are concerned to continue that same character moving forward. But
maybe she gives him a shave and gets him dressed.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of deal.
Maybe just clean him up into the image of who she wants to manage. Something like that.
Yeah,
it could work.
Yeah, anything can work. Well, with the way Impact is booking and getting talent, could be anybody, really. I mean, shit, we're seeing Murder Clown and Katarina trying to beat up Joe Hendry and Grado from Revenge because bros before hoes angle.
Yeah.
There's so much going on in Impact, and it's all just there's something for everybody. And so, here we go.
Yes.
Watch Impact Wrestling. I don't care how
There
you
it
do
is.
it, but get those numbers up. For all you people on Twitter saying like, "Oh, there's other wrestling out there," and then you just eat an egg or lay an egg. What did I want to say there? Not eat a dick, but you're all laying eggs. That's my point. They're all being hypocrites.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, everybody has cable.
The numbers aren't lying. The numbers aren't going up, and yet it seems there's more buzz on Impact now than ever.
Unless people are just watching highlights. Obviously, that doesn't do the wrestling company any good.
Nah. See, personally, I'm kind of on a week delay with, I just have the GWN app. And I just throw on last week's episode before bed. That's how I've been watching it.
Yeah, that's a good way to catch up.
I'm on a week delay. Who cares?
Usually I have mine on my, I still have cable. I have mine on my DVR programmed weekly basis. If I see anything good going down, I'll definitely tune in. I'm not sure if the numbers count, though, if you see a replay, but...
I'm not sure myself. But my Thursday nights are... my weeknights are kind of up in the air with all my bowling going on. I'm more of a night guy these days.
Yeah. Night owl, JD.
Yeah. So that's Impact Wrestling. I'm glad we got to talk a lot about that. There was a lot to discuss there.
I mean, I think this is the longest we've touched base on Impact, to be honest. So
yeah, no
just
kidding.
goes to show you a lot of things are going on.
So this is at the point where I'm going to mention one thing here with WXW, because this is the point where you're not going to hear this on the live stream. This was a pre-recorded interview with a guy named Varn. He's from Rear View Reviews, and he's part of the press of WXW. So that's the point in the podcast, if you're listening to iTunes, Stitcher here, or whatever your outlet is, that this is going to happen. I will mention that this came out after the interview, is WWE and WXW struck a partnership deal. So similar vein as ICW and Progress.
Okay. Well, how do you feel about that?
Oh, well. How indeed, right? Okay. I don't like WWE trying to become, the be-all, end-all. I think what we're seeing in the indie scene right now is something unprecedented in wrestling history. It reminds me of the territory days, but now it's on a global scale.
Yeah.
Let me look at the positive here before I go into the negative. The positive is it's going to get more eyes on WXW, going to get more buzz on them. They've also revealed that they have a venue booked during WrestleMania weekend here in the States. So I think I'm going to goddamn New York during WrestleMania weekend.
Have to, man.
And I'm not going to WrestleMania. I'm going to WXW.
Just check out all the indie scene festivities.
Yeah. So the positive is more eyes are going to be on it. It's going to get more buzz. Maybe they'll get even more budget to work with. I've seen the change in Progress since their deal was struck, and Progress has just exploded. So that's the positive. The negative, and I've seen this happen, is the promotion just gonna become a feeder to WWE? Are they gonna build up talents for a short amount of time, and then just they go to NXT, be it UK or NXT, or because the negative to that is, look at Evolve. That's what happened with Evolve. They became a really good company to watch, and then all their talent just disappeared. Bang. And now they have to start all over from scratch. And honestly, I don't really like watching Evolve right now. I think it's really boring. All the talent is just undercard. There's only one guy, and he's way above everyone else, and that's Shane Strickland. Didn't think I'd say that anytime soon, but that's what happened. That's what's happened with Evolve. If I'm really the part I'm afraid of is guys like Walter, Bobby Guns, Ilya Dragunov, all going to NXT UK on full-time deals or even the part-time deals, and we're no longer able to see them in high-profile matches for the promotion that they came from. So, you know, there's positive and negative to it all. Time will tell if it's good or bad. It did come out that Brookside did a heavy kind of training session over in WXW, and all the guys like learned a lot. It was really hard work kind of deal. So that's Jaya Brookside's father. She's in the Mae Young Classic. She got kind of jobbed out to Io Shirai in the first round of the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah.
So, very interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how everything develops with the company now that this deal's been struck. I hope that it doesn't go the way ICW. I hope that it goes the way of Progress. But hey, Pete Dunne hasn't done much in Progress since the deal's been struck. He's there, but he's putting on mostly comedy matches. But then you have someone like Tyler Bate, who keeps putting on matches in both. I don't know, Red. The answer is I don't know right now. I'm not totally striking down the idea, but hey, wrestling is pretty incredible right now. I'll say that.
It really is.
Yeah. So I'm gonna play this nice little. Let's see. I'm gonna play Naito's music, and that'll take us into the interview with him, and then I'll play another drop to get us into our Tier 2 Ring of Honor New Japan talk.
Cool.
Alrighty. Okay, time to talk Ring of Honor and New Japan. They've had a couple big pay-per-views. They've been busy. This is the crux of the show at this point now. So as I said, we're not going to break down the matches individually. We might mention a couple spots here or there that stood out. The stories coming out of these two events, and that's what wrestling is at the end of the day. That's what saves wrestling, is the stories. So Ring of Honor had Death Before Dishonor, another big pay-per-view. I will say this. Crowd was mostly dead for the show, Rad. Till the last two matches. Very disappointing. I didn't think this was a bad show. Don't get me wrong. I just felt it lacked a lot of build for pretty much all the matches except one. And then they kind of shit the bed on that match in particular. And that's a major talking point I want to get to. That's the TV title match. So, let's see here. Kazarian took a massive headshot in the tag title match against the Briscoes. Briscoes retain. That story is pretty much Kazarian and Christopher Daniels' contracts are going up soon, and if they don't, have a title by that time, they're not going to be in the company anymore. I don't know. We'll see. Ring of Honor, to me right now, is really dropping the ball on their builds and stories going into matches.
Interesting. I wonder if it's because I guess most of their talent is like moving on. We even have the Young Bucks already teasing, I guess, something going on January 1st. So,
well, that's when basically all of Bullet Club's contracts go up,
come to an end.
And this is where I'm really worried for Ring of Honor. Happy for Impact, because then they're going to get better. I actually think Impact is getting back to where it kind of used to be. While Ring of Honor is slowly fading away. Ring of Honor is so built around Bullet Club right now and their New Japan
that's true
workings, that let's say hypothetically that New Japan kind of just goes, all right, we don't really feel like working with you guys right now. We don't really see the benefit of it anymore. I mean, I don't see that happening anytime soon because of the Western expansion that New Japan's doing. But let's just say hypothetically that they just go, yeah, let's lay off for like a year or two. And then that leaves only Bullet Club. Well, January 1st, Bullet Club can become free agents. What if they decide to not sign re-sign with Ring of Honor as kind of the full-time deals. Like, say the Young Bucks are full-time, Cody Rhodes is full-time, Marty Scurll's full-time with Ring of Honor, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you don't see them in New Japan all the time, but you know, with the deal, they're able to work, you know, big shows and what have you. Let's say those 4 guys don't re-sign. They become free agents. So their bookings are their own now. All well and good. Who does Ring of Honor have to carry the company? Because you really need, I think you need 4 top players to have a promotion with buzz. Think of New Japan right now. You have Omega, Okada, Tanahashi, and Naito. Those are your top 4. You
main
know
event
who they
names.
are. Those are your main event guys. WWE, they have AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, and anyone facing Roman Reigns. Brock Lesnar. I guess you can. You want to say Ronda Rousey? Well, they're doing so much with her. You might as well.
Yeah,
I suppose.
might as well include her on that list.
So who, Rad, in your eyes, who are the 4 guys in Ring of Honor? And you can't say a Bullet Club name.
No, that's tricky. Oh man, the only guys that I can think of, and they've been in there from the beginning, and they pretty much haven't done anything other outside their tag team, are the Briscoes. Other than that, immediately I think of Bullet Club, whether it be Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Marty Scurll, so on and so forth. They really don't have a lot going on as far as that main event level. And I think you nailed it when you brought it up, and I knew where you were getting to on this, is the fact that if, you know, contracts are up, New Japan, hypothetically speaking, decides to cancel that contract, what the hell happens to Ring of Honor?
It's a scary thought, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. They're gonna from and they don't have a lot of time. From October 6th, upon recording here, to January 1st, they need to build their guys up. I think the obvious 2 to me right now are Dalton Castle and Jay Lethal, and that's why they gave Jay Lethal the title. Not just because Dalton Castle was really beat up and he needed to heal. Jay Lethal's kind of it in my eyes.
Yeah, he's the face of Ring of Honor right now. Dalton Castle is like right behind him. So,
and then after
definitely
that, who?
But after that, yeah, there's really nobody else. Now, if that's the case, now let's say something like this does happen. I've always thought of, if Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor, which are, you know, stuck, I guess, as tier 2 promotions in the US, if you will, never really got to that level of being direct competition, thinking World Championship Wrestling. I always thought, well, why didn't Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling ever, you know, join forces? You know, Impact Wrestling always decided to go with obscure territories or Global Force, only because, you know, Jeff Jarrett owned that non-existent promotion. You know, they never really did anything with it. But if you really had, you know, a situation where Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor kind of like collided and became, you know, I guess a one-on-one company, you know, having a weekly program on TV, pay-per-views, you name it, I think they can really do something with it, and it can very easily become that direct competition that we need, at least here in the US. But again, you would need name power, and if they don't have that,
Right.
I don't know.
Who would you build up personally?
Oh man, that's a good question.
Okay, well, how about this? We'll talk about more of Death Before Dishonor here, and then we'll revisit that question.
We'll revisit this topic, yeah.
Okay, so Briscoes retain. Then there was the women's match. I've been very vocal about Ring of Honor needs to stop pussyfooting around and put the pedal to the metal on their women's division. And this was Tenille Dashwood against Sumi Sakai for the women's title. And I thought Sumi Sakai knocked it out of the park in this match. Dashwood did a Dashwood match. It was fine. She's got the name values. Not really much to complain about. The finish, however... Okay. First of all, Red, did you watch Death Before Dishonor, or did you just kind of watch highlights or see the results kind of deal?
Yeah, just see the results.
Okay.
I didn't tune in live.
So... the match, and like Sumi Sakai worked the arm and shoulder of Dashwood. Dashwood came out to the ring with, you know, the kinesio tape on her shoulder, and either it was the best selling I've seen in good God years, or she was visibly hurt. And I think she was visibly hurt, personally. And Sumi Sakai was working that injured arm the whole match, with Dashwood doing, the Dashwood moves. Actually, Tennille Dashwood did kind of a sunset bomb to the outside. That was really cool. Or power bomb to the floor. That was a good move. The match finished in what I can describe as an 80s/90s finish, where Sakai gets Dashwood in an armbar, and Dashwood doesn't tap out, she passes out. And that's how the match ends. And the crowd booed it. I personally don't have an issue with the finish, because I like old school type stuff still. Shit, we just talked about fucking Brad Armstrong for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? So this didn't bother me so much. However, I think I do get what the issue is, because it's such an old type style booking. Does it have a place in 2018? And my opinion is probably not. Even though it didn't bother me. I don't think that was the right finish to do. She should have tapped out immediately, or the ref should have stopped it. Not this passed out thing. Especially to an armbar. I had to think about that for a little bit because of my personal feelings, and then looking at it from a 2018 perspective. What's your take on kind of this armbar passing out finish here?
It's not entertaining, I will say that. I can definitely understand why the crowd would boo a finish like that, but it's just it's too easy, too simple, too generic.
I hear you. Okay, fair enough. That's that then. Bully Ray does shenanigans to win the table match. Good, there was a good fun Chaos v Bullet Club 10-man tag match. That was as good as you can imagine. Not much to say in those. I gotta say, Bully Ray, very good at telling in-ring stories. This was one of the more built-up stories going along in Ring of Honor right now, with Bully Ray just being a bully, essentially, and Flip Gordon, trying to overcome that kind of deal. Fair enough. It's definitely one of the better worked matches of the show, I will say. But now we're on to the TV title match. This really irritates me, Rad. So this was Punishment Martinez, the TV champion, against Chris Sabin. Okay. I like Chris Sabin. I like Alex Shelley. I love the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yep.
One of my favorite tag teams of all time. I don't think I can remember a bad match that they've had. They just get it. And Chris Sabin, coming out of the Best of the Super Juniors, a great showing. It's Chris fucking Sabin, of all people. I totally forgot about his TNA championship run, by the way. I totally forgot about it, because that was like that era of TNA that was like getting to be the borderline unwatchable type stuff.
Yeah.
But regardless, match starts up fast, and it was good. The match was fine. Didn't really have much of an issue with it. I thought it started too fast, personally. I think it should have built up more, especially the way this match went down. It should have been a grudge match type match, not what felt like just another
put together
match. Yeah, because the build to it, I think it was too weak, personally, especially with Alex Shelley's quote unquote retirement. Right? He feels that there's not much he can do left to give wrestling. He wants Chris Sabin to win his first, singles title in Ring of Honor. Go for it. And Punishment Martinez came out and beat them both up. We got clear face heel stuff going on here. And then Chris Sabin comes out with like the David Starr intro. The favorite wrestler's favorite wrestler, cream of your coffee, but it was something even stranger than that. I was like, what? Why? Like, do that after you win the title. That would have been great when he has the title, and that's like his first introduction with the title.
Yeah.
So that was weird. And then Punishment Martinez just wins. He does his little blackout foot stamp type thing, and then he starts beating up Sabin post-match, and then Jeff Cobb hits the ring, which, hooray, Jeff Cobb's been, beating up jobbers, or the young guys in Ring of Honor, over the last few weeks. And he comes out and no-sells the chair shot. That was really cool. And then beats up Punishment Martinez. Fine, but now, what the hell do you do with Chris Sabin, then? What was all this I'm fighting for my friend retiring thing?
Yeah, it's almost like there's no point to it. Thrown out the window.
Like, it was totally wasted. And what really, I was already mad with this. What really got me was when Fighting Spirit came out 2 days later. Who shows up with the TV title but Jeff fucking Cobb? And I'm like, what the hell did I just miss? Punishment Martinez retains, beats Chris Sabin. Jeff Cobb shows up, overshadows the entire match that just happened, and now Jeff Cobb's the champion, and I didn't even see the match yet? And
oh, damn, that is crazy.
As it comes out, Punishment Martinez signed with WWE. What the fuck?
Yeah, chaotic.
What just happened? Yeah. Ring of Honor completely fucked up right here. I am so irritated with this booking. If they apparently Punishment Martinez's contract's been up since August, so it's not like it's yesterday's news.
Right.
Chris Sabin should have been TV champion. Punishment Martinez beats him up post-match, kicks the shit out of him hard. You can have Sabin drop the title, he's unable to compete for a few weeks. I don't care about that. Have Jeff Cobb still beat him up. Have them have a singles match for the vacant title. There's so many different ways they could have done this.
So many different ways. This seems like a late WCW booking right here.
Oh.
Just doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. Great for Jeff Cobb. To me, Jeff Cobb is a really good signing for Ring of Honor. He's going to be that third guy at the top. For sure. But right now he has the TV title. So he's the mid-card guy. He's not at the top. So, a lot of issues I have. How would you have booked this match? Would you have had Sabin win like me?
Oh yeah, definitely. Give it to Sabin. Give Alex Shelley that feel-good retirement. You already, write off Punishment Martinez, and then just have Chris Sabin and Jeff Cobb, go at it for the championship. Even if Jeff Cobb wins right away, but at least there's not that gap that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so Ring of Honor TV hasn't come out with Jeff Cobb winning the title, but fuck, we know he's champion already. I really don't like that.
And we're already right around the corner for the build up to Final Battle in December, so they really should start getting their creative in line.
Yeah. Ring of Honor has a really bad habit of just kind of throwing matches together, and then you just go out and have another match. That's why guys like Eli Drake and Impact, he's a major player. You know what? I can name the four big guys in Impact right now. It's Eli Drake, Johnny Impact, Austin Aries, and then whoever they want to start pushing. To me, it's Brian Cage. They got Pentagon.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a host of people in Ring of Honor. None of that right now. It's just matches thrown together for the sake of matches. I think Matt Taven is going to be that next guy at the top because he's the next challenger for the title. Mm-hmm. I think he needs to win that thing. So speaking of that, the main event, Ospreay versus Jay Lethal. This earned the main event spot 100%. This was a fantastic match. It was one of the best matches of the weekend. I love this match. We saw Ospreay work safe and slower while going from 0 to 100 plenty of times. I love the storytelling. I loved everything I saw in this match. Ospreay was half heel, but he was also half cheeky British guy. It was great. And then Lethal is, he's pretty much gold in the ring week in and week out. Good stuff. And then Taven came out post-match to take out Lethal, and he has his own little purple ROH title. It kind of reminds me of a title over in CMLL Mexico, and he's got his fresh little mohawk shave because he lost the hair versus hair match in Mexico. So he looks like a new guy. He's primed to be at the top. I agree with it. There's your third guy to go with Dalton Castle and Lethal for sure. Still missing a fourth though. I think that's going to be Jeff Cobb sooner rather than later. So, thoughts on Ospreay Lethal and then this Matt Taven post-match push? Do you agree with like having Ospreay Lethal as a main event?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Both are incredible performers, and having Matt Taven come out and get himself involved with the ROH title, so to speak, I think just kind of elevates building towards that. Okay, we need more main event guys. So I think that's good. It's good for the company.
All right. I'm glad we're on the same page. I really liked his sweet little slick purple title. He even kind of threw down the actual Ring of Honor title, and he's like, "Nah, I'm the real champion. I have the real belt." So we got it kind of like Taven showing up. To me, Taven is money right now. He was killing it in Mexico. He was a draw in Mexico over the last month. People wanted to see him because of his attitude, because of his charisma, his character, and that's what to me Ring of Honor has been lacking. And finally, they're pulling the trigger on Taven. I think it's because of this whole Bullet Club thing that their Ring of Honor is clearly worried about. And then Punishment Martinez signing out of the company, seemingly. I don't know what he's going to do with. Do you know what WWE is going to do with the guy?
Oh man, we've been through this before, JD. I have no idea. Let's hope it's something. Otherwise, this guy's just going to get lost in the shuffle.
I think he's going to get lost immediately because a lot of people are already joking like it's Baron Corbin 2.0 kind of guy. And I go, well, I think Punishment Martinez is much better than Baron Corbin personally, but they already have Baron Corbin, so they don't need Punishment Martinez personally.
Yeah.
So, but WWE likes their big guys. He'll probably just kind of be like a gatekeeper type person in NXT, and then that'll be that. That's my prediction. He's at the Punishment Martinez, I think, is like 37 or something, so he's not young. I think he's 37.
Yeah, he's easily in his mid to late 30s.
Yeah, so he's getting his check. Good for him. But let's move on to New Japan Fighting Spirit. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm going to play. Let's see. Who am I going to play? Kazuninari. I like that one. Alrighty, Fighting Spirit Unleashed. A lot of stuff happened on this show, Rad. Did you get a chance to watch Fighting Spirit, or at least the last few?
It's another one I didn't, but I definitely followed up with results and happy with the double champ that happened. So we'll touch base on it here shortly.
So this was a good show. Initially going into it, I'm like, maybe I'll skip the first half and come in and just watch, the main events or what have you. But I actually watched the show from beginning to end, and I was pleasantly happy. I'm a little disappointed Jericho didn't show up at Fighting Spirit, to be honest.
Oh, that would have been great had he shown up.
Yeah, so, you know what? I'll get there in a second, but that was the first thing that stuck out in my mind. Young Bucks lose the tag titles in their second defense to the Firing Squad, Gorillas of Destiny. Matt Jackson tweaked his back in the match and sold it the entire time, even went through a table. So Nick Jackson, it was another instance where Nick Jackson had to work an entire match alone, and Matt Jackson sold the back. Young Bucks are getting real good with that. That's why they're the #1 tag team in the world right now. And Gorillas of Destiny are, they're a solid tag team. Not to take anything away from them. They know how to work a tag match. They're not in New Japan for no good reason, right?
Right.
Thank God this wasn't the overbooked mess that we saw in the G1. And I'm okay with the Young Bucks losing here, especially with their quote unquote injuries as a team that they went through.
Yeah. These guys are so over that whether they win or lose, it's not going to hurt them at all.
Yeah, and it makes the Firing Squad now look. I like calling them the Firing Squad personally, not Bullet Club OGs. I don't like that name personally. But it makes the Firing Squad look like legit contenders now. It makes them look like, if they get a new member, or they can compete with the elite, basically.
Oh yeah, definitely. At least give them something to do. If not, they're going to quickly become NWO Black and White B team when they fuse together. So, yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, definitely.
We want them to remain relevant.
So then we got Cody Rhodes is now a double champ as he beats Juice
Yeah.
Robinson for the U.S. belt. So now we got the NWA and U.S. belt around the waist of a single guy.
Yes, good for him.
Thoughts on this move?
I think it's absolutely amazing. It just it's a prime example that you don't have to wrestle in WWE or WrestleMania to be successful, and Cody Rhodes is killing it right now. He's the face of indie wrestling. Multiple championships, just came off the fire that was All In, and now he's killing it in New Japan. So amazing stuff from the guy. Definitely one of my favorites. Always has been.
Yeah, a lot of New Japan fans are kind of upset that this makes Juice look really weak, especially coming off his G1 run with the hurt hand.
No, I think they're just being overcritical. I think this really builds a platform for these guys to actually even feud, if anything. So I think it's fine.
I'm okay with this personally, for multiple reasons. The main one is New Japan right now is in full expansion mode. They want to expand out of Japan. They want to make their kings of pro wrestling, New Japan Tiger, a worldwide known entity. And let's be honest, not a lot of people still watch New Japan. Everyone watches WWE. Like 9 out of 10, and I would say 9.8 out of 10 people watch WWE and nothing else. They'll watch 13 plus hours of WWE a week. They'll watch Total Bellas. They'll watch Total Divas. They'll watch all that they fucking can, and then...
And that's a shame. They're just totally enclosed in Vince McMahon's world. It's just so many stuff out there. So much stuff.
I'm calling people out again, Rad. I'm doing that a lot on this podcast.
The
numbers don't lie. However, more people are buzzing, and more people are watching New Japan compared to what I just said about Impact Wrestling earlier.
If anything comes close to direct competition, New Japan is definitely number 2 in the world. So, if there is an outside promotion that people are at least checking out or has even heard, it's definitely New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. So Cody, with this expansion idea, and Cody Rhodes is now the U.S. champion, and as you said, the face of the indie scene, this is a fantastic move. I don't think there's a better guy to represent this title that you built up, and with Jericho with the Intercontinental title. Yeah, he's kind of as people have pointed out, he's pulling a Brock Lesnar, he's not showing up, and I go, well, hold the phone. And this is why this multiple reasons I like this move of Cody Rhodes champion now. A, Jericho's the IC champion, and we haven't seen him since he won the title, and he even pulled the promo afterwards. He didn't know how long he was going to be gone for. He has been promoting the title. He's been taking it everywhere, including the Cruise of Jericho, which is coming up. Jericho's a worldwide name. The IC title, with all the tournaments that have gone down, Best of Super Juniors, the G1, the IC title didn't need to be there. The US belt is the new championship, and with the expansion into the US market, what title do you want to highlight the most? The US championship. The IC belt's already established in Japan. If you want to build up a credible title, you need a credible champion, and you need that name value. And I think Cody Rhodes checks all those boxes to make it feel special, important, and to expand the knowledge of what New Japan is. I love everything about this, and the mixture of Jericho as the IC champion, I think, molds that into something that works. Because then whoever does defeat Jericho down the line for that IC belt becomes a big deal immediately.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this is where it's done right, not the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar scenario. Everybody knows who Chris Jericho is. He's still a name in WWE. Granted, he's inactive, comes and goes as he pleases. Right. But I want to say that when Chris Jericho did his rivalry with Kenny Omega for the Wrestle Kingdom, it brought a lot of eyes that probably have never seen New Japan before. Why? Because everybody knows who Chris Jericho is. WWE fans easily, more than likely, tuned in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the first time. So that brought new eyes to the product. Cody Rhodes, even if anybody has ever only seen WWE, knows who Cody Rhodes is. And holy cow, what's this Bullet Club thing? What's this All In thing that I'm hearing about? Right. Cody Rhodes is going to be in a main event match at that event. Let me check it out. So it just brings a lot of eyes to products outside of WWE. So Cody Rhodes being the face of independent wrestling right now, I agree with you 100% JD. I think this is a good move and well deserved as well. Good for him. He's definitely the man has already made money. He's already famous. Has his wife. He has it all, and you can really tell that his
hot
passion.
wife.
His hot wife, we may add. He has it all, and you can tell him continuing to do things like this just shows the passion he has for the sport of professional wrestling, and the fact that he wants to continue the legacy his father Dusty Rhodes once had back in the NWA. So it's really cool to see, almost as if history is repeating itself, and Cody Rhodes is becoming even more of a household name now, more than ever. Than while he was in WWE. So it's good to see. Happy for the guy.
Yeah. It kind of sucks that Juice is the fall guy, but I think it does make something... Because Juice is a fantastic character to chase a belt rather than have it. I think that's just who he comes off as. That's
a good way to describe it. So even if he's not winning a championship or he loses, I think it's fine. Again, it'll probably create some sort of rivalry or, further matches down the road. Obviously the guy's still a big deal, whether he lost to in the last match or not. I think it's all right.
Yeah. And Cody Rhodes was a heel in this match as well. He was pulling off a lot of heel tactics. Even had that old school finish with the superplex and rolling him up with the legs, and Juice was upset. So it didn't. Juice got beat kind of mentally, I think, more than anything. I think that's what it came across to me as. So it'll be interesting what happens with Juice going forward. I think this feud is going to continue all the way to Wrestle Kingdom, personally, or at least a little bit further.
It's a story. Obviously, they're adding depth to his character. It's elevating what he's already got going on. So I don't think people should be scared one bit. I mean, it's not like if it was a squash. Right. If it was a squash, that'd be a different story. But let's face it, it's not WWE, so obviously it's good.
Yeah, we'll get to WWE here shortly. So you can't not mention Jay White beating up Okada and Tanahashi, specifically Tanahashi. Jay White is being pushed heavily to the top. He's got a match at King of Pro Wrestling for the briefcase for the rights to wrestle at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't think he's winning that in any shape or fashion, but just coming off a match against Tanahashi at such a level, it's a big deal, and it's only good for him. It's going to look really good in the long run, and Jay White is absolutely killing this heel persona he's got in Japan.
Oh yeah, he really is. I'm a fan of his right now, moving forward, and whether he wins that or not, I don't think he needs it. But again, he's killing it in other aspects as a heel, as a villain. Simply put, he's just amazing. His in-ring work, his promos, all good stuff.
Moving on. Zack Sabre Jr. double middle finger rolls, a double middle finger roll up to Evil. Did you see the pics of this? At least it's really funny. Yeah, and a confirmation of a 5th LIJ member incoming at King of Pro Wrestling. Who do you think this is? I think personally it's going to be Rush. And
I can see that.
I'm on record with it, especially with Tag League coming up. For New Japan, a lot of tag team wrestling shit going down these days.
Still alive, people.
Yeah, still alive. It's alive everywhere except WWE. Yeah. Everyone was saying Super Showdown, the 6-man tag was excellent storytelling. This, I'm like, it was a house show 6-man tag match. We've seen those, anyways.
Who was even involved? Don't tell me it was New Day.
Oh, the 6-man tag? No. That was the Dogs against the Dogs of War. Oh, I'm sorry. They go by the Shield. That's right.
Yeah, the main event tag match.
Yeah. It was just Roman Reigns hit Dean Ambrose once with a punch, and everyone's like, greatest storytelling ever. I'm like, just watch a New Japan.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Just watch a New Japan, like any tag team match, and there's more story in every single one of those. We'll get to the main event specifically, for sure. So yeah, Rush was the first name that came to my mind. You can look at past Twitter posts that I called it, like, if this does happen, I called it weeks ago before any rumors were going around.
Documented.
It's documented proof that I had called this like a while ago. If it is in fact Rush. I really do hope it's him, because he's an OG LIJ member.
Yeah.
He's a Los Ingobernables member, not LIJ, but LI. So, the reveal of a 5th member was really cool. And it's on New Japan's YouTube page with the English subtitles. It's all LIJ minus Hiromu, and they're all in like these gangster kind of underground gambling area where they're playing roulette and cards, and they're all in suits, and they look like straight up Yakuza almost in a way.
Yeah,
it's really funny, and Naito's like sipping like cognac in a glass, and he's just going on with this cryptic messages, and he's like, you remember when I said this thing like 5 months ago? And you're like, well, wonder if he meant something else. Well, I did.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, we can't wait. We want to keep moving forward. You know, as much as we love Hiromu, we got to move on without him to bigger and better things. So I think this is further hinting that this 5th LIJ member is going to be a tag partner, and especially since LIJ just went to Mexico recently, to be in like a little mini main event feud over there. I think it fits. So I'm excited. And will Jericho jump Sabre or Evil after their King of Pro Wrestling match? Because Evil looked distraught. He looked like he was shot through the chest after Zack Sabre Jr. did the double middle finger roll up.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna jump Sabre personally. I think Sabre's gonna win.
I was gonna go with Evil.
I think Evil is the too obvious choice.
Okay.
Just for my own like devil's advocate thing, I think Sabre's winning, and it's going to be an audible, and it's going to be Jericho against Suzuki-gun. God, I blanked on the name. Really bad there. Wow.
No worries.
Because everyone's just assuming that it's going to be Evil, and I get it. It makes sense. You could see Evil losing to Sabre to keep Sabre strong, and then Evil wins the IC title. I don't know if Evil is that kind of top tier talent in my eyes. I'd rather have Jericho like jump Sonata, if anybody, if it was from LIJ.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I think those two clashing of styles and personas would be good instead of everything is evil. So, what do you think about Jericho jumping either guy?
I mean, it could go every which way. Whoever he jumps, I guess moving forward, it's good for that person. We'll have a good rivalry. Moving forward. I still see Evil, but as you mentioned, that might be the obvious route. So let's see if they throw an unpredictable cause at us. So we'll see.
It is New Japan after all. Any choice they make is generally
it's good stuff. Yeah. And there's reasoning behind it, so that's a good thing.
There's always reasoning. That's it's not like Brock Lesnar is going to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, jump some random guy
in event. So, Skrull beats Ospreay to advance to the junior title finals versus Kushida. This was 16 minutes of
the villain
of awesome. And as Skrull tweeted out shortly after, there's three things, three certain things in life: death, taxes, and Skrull beating Ospreay. Ospreay here working another slower, safer match again. I quite like this new Ospreay.
Well, that's good. I guess he's just adapting, learning from his mistakes, but obviously he's got to adapt to the opponent he's facing. So
yeah, he's looking a little bit more bulky as well over the last few weeks that I've noticed.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because to be quite honest, I think he was a little bit on the thin side, but he was getting a little bit bulky. I think it looks good on TV. So, it
looks better. I think this is him moving over to the heavyweight division.
Yes,
I personally, I kind of like the story going on of trying to make the junior title bigger than what it is, because I think it's still treated as kind of not as important as the heavyweight, and I kind of liked Ospreay and Skrull cutting those promos to say that, we are as good as the heavyweights, this is just our title. But if he's moving to the heavyweight, then I guess that was all just smoke and mirrors for words. for words purposes. Regardless, the match started super fucking fast with, you know, Ospreay hitting a Spanish fly and then throwing to the outside and then hitting a shooting star press and then after that it kind of settled in with Skrull and Ospreay doing their thing. Those two guys just get it. They get it, Rad. Every match they put on somehow seems different. And
they evolve.
They evolve their styles together. They get, that's the best way I can put it. They get it. I love it. They can wrestle forever. I usually don't say that about AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. They get it.
Yep.
They get it. They just work so well together. They have so much experience with each other. It's good stuff. Maybe that's what Styles and Nakamura were missing.
That's exactly what they were missing. But I'm thinking I blame that on creative and booking and what they were limited to do, or what they were allowed to do and what they weren't allowed to do. So it just was a messed up situation. But at least, regardless of Samoa Joe continuing to lose, they really do get it, and all of the matches have been amazing. So
yeah. So on to the tag match main event: Okada and Ishii versus the Golden Lovers, and this is just an example of the tag team wrestling just being on another level. And the guys involved on another level. I don't know how to describe the match to you. It was ridiculous. I don't know if it's in the top 10 of best New Japan matches of the year, because there's just been so fucking many. It's hard to I've been trying to keep track.
So hard to compile them all
and just make them 10. Honestly, yeah. I could probably make like a top 50 list, and that wouldn't do it justice. But where do the words escape me for this match. Is it 5-star match? Yeah, probably. Maybe 4.75 if I'm being critical.
Yeah.
These guys, it was, I was questioning why is just a simple tag match, in the main event, but when you have guys this good, Okada and Omega in the same ring together, at any point just works. And the match was played out so well, where every time Okada and Omega got the ring and they kind of looked at each other, the crowd was on the edge of their seat, so oh my god, what are these guys going to do next? And then you had Ishii and Ibushi always interrupting. The tag guys always got in the way, which I really like. Don't have the guys touch, basically.
Yeah,
that's a very old school type match booking right there. So Ishii ended up taking the pin, and then closing promo, triple threat main event made for King of Pro Wrestling coming up in a couple days here. Cody versus Omega versus Ibushi, and I thought, with a pay-per-view being a week out, or just over a week out, 8 days, you kind of had to have Omega and Ibushi because that's kind of an immediate ticket seller, but you didn't want to have the singles match. You want to save that for a much bigger venue between those two guys.
Right.
It's just odd that Cody is kind of that third wheel in it, to me.
Well, I guess it's still, they're still playing off of that I guess the whole Bullet Club and Elite, war going on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Ibushi was right in the middle of it all.
Oh yeah.
So I can definitely see why they're putting this triple threat together. Now, if they're gonna wait for a one-on-one later on down the road, that still wouldn't be affected by it, because let's face it, triple threats the style is just different. How you win is different. So I can definitely see it happening down the road, regardless of this triple threat.
Yeah, I only see Cody kind of eating the pin in this match, personally. It's a little too
obvious. Moving forward, that might be the way to go, at least here with this. Build something around Omega and Ibushi, but definitely a lot of history there. And this is the first that we'll ever, I guess, I could be wrong. I don't know if they've ever gone at it, being friends and whatnot, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the odd side, especially how it went down, where Omega cut the promo and he's like, Is it time for us to kind of go at it for the title? But, you know, we made a pact that if we were to do it, it was going to be at, like, Wrestle Kingdom or you know, Madison Square Garden is the obvious kind of location now, I think, that where that's going to go down. Or even Omega Okada 6 or something could be. But regardless, and then Cody kind of slithered his way in. He's like, I got a solution. How about a triple threat? And I'm like, okay, that seems like a Cody move. I would have... Man, I wonder if they were just like a pay-per-view late on Jay White. You know, because with the way Jay White's heel run's been, let's say he lost a singles match tonight at Fighting Spirit, right? For the briefcase. And he slithered his way into the triple threat match for King of Pro Wrestling.
That'd be pretty cool.
He had beaten both Tanahashi and Okada. He could make a case like, hey, I beat 2 ex-champions at the G1. Get me in there. And, you know, Omega and Ibushi being, like, especially Omega being the cocky guy that he is, and, you know, maybe pissed off that, you know, he was beaten down post-match and he just accepts it. I think that could have been a little better move, but hey, I'm just kind of being overly critical, I think, at this point. I don't have a problem at the end of the day that this match is going to happen. It's just weird that Cody's in the main event, especially since he just won the US title.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is to build up something between Omega and Ibushi, and he's kind of like that third wheel there. But there's got to be a reason for it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, the pay-per-view is only a couple days away, so that'll be nice. All right. I think that does it for Ring of Honor New Japan as we get into some short WWE thoughts, because there's not much to talk about. So here is the drop. Okay. So WWE. Not much to talk about. Not much is going on these days other than a billion pay-per-views that are coming across as house shows. So I just wrote down some names here for a fun little topic here. Thoughts on the status of wrestlers. And I wrote down 5 in particular that are standing out to me right now. So let's just do a little rapid fire. Super quick topic, no problem. The Revival. Rad, what are your thoughts? The booking, the matches, all of the stuff. Vent. How would you fix them kind of deal? All the stuffs.
Fuck the Revival. I'm sorry, JD. I know you're an advocate of them and trying to build tag team wrestling, and they might be like the face to do it. But I really don't. I can care less for these guys. I don't care whether they win, whether they lose, or they're written off TV. A year ago, as soon as they made it to the main roster, and they were immediately buried, so to speak, especially at that what WWE event was it that happened at Madison,
like Raw 25 or whatever?
There you go, Raw 25, and how the club and D-Generation X and NWO came in and they like beat them up and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool, being an old school fan and being that I could care less about the Revival. So I really don't care for them too much. However, I know you might see it a little bit differently, so if you want to just go ahead and give your thoughts on how you'd fix the situation. I know they kind of like made, a little hint of becoming relevant again, but now they're like slowly going to the back of the line, so to speak. So how would you fix this?
Line? Well, first of all, there's no line. The tag team division
is
non-existent. I don't care what anyone says. You might say SmackDown has a tag division. I would totally disagree, because we've now seen rinse and repeat matches on SmackDown in this form of a tournament, right?
Yeah, it's always the same guys.
It's always the same guys.
It's New Day, Rhino and Heath Slater. It's like it doesn't even matter.
It really doesn't matter. No, the titles feel unimportant, as we've seen. The best tag match on the main roster in quite some time was Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose against Ziggles and McIntyre, but they're singles guys. I like Ziggler in the tag team role. I think he's perfect for it. I think
this is the first time that he has a little bit of relevancy, to be honest. So him partnering up with I'm losing my mind here. McIntyre, I think it's good stuff.
Yeah. I think this tag team role with Ziggler is perfect for the guy, but that's in that realm. Right now, because the tag division is so irrelevant and I just don't care, I'm with you. I don't care about the Revival anymore. It's just LOL at this point.
Yeah.
They made me not care. I love the Revival.
I remember.
Yeah. And I still love the tag team, but if they aren't going to do anything with them, why should I give a shit?
Yeah.
So I'm with you, Rad. I don't care anymore. If they don't care, I don't care. And that's the main issue with the Revival. If they don't care about tag team wrestling, they clearly don't care about tag team wrestling. The belts mean nothing. They have no stories around anything. All the belts are on fucking 3 guys.
Yeah.
You know? They're not defending them. They're why, you know, it's sad to say the Revival are buried and dead. And
yeah.
They need to go back to NXT.
The glory they experience in NXT will not be duplicated in the main roster. It's already too late. And even coming from somebody who backed up the Revival as yourself, JD, as you mentioned, not even you care anymore. And I blame that on creative. I blame that on booking. I simply
the same with AOP. I don't care. They can be big dudes and beat up the occasional guy, but at the end of the day, they're only going to beat up jobbers and then lose to the main eventers. That's the tag team division.
Yeah,
over and over again.
That was clear when they gave up on their manager the first day that they debuted on the roster. I was like, this is already going to change. It's not going to be the same. It's like the second they leave NXT, it just goes downhill. And that's unfortunate.
The second any tag team has left NXT, they're done. Immediately. It's
like I mean, do they not understand the magic that they experienced, you know, on TV, what the fans wanted? It's like, nah, main roster, whatever happened over there, it doesn't matter. This is the new stuff, and you guys are going to become buried.
So, next wrestler, Bobby Roode. The glorious...
Yeah.
The glorious has-been at this point.
Has-been. That's a shame. I'm a fan of Bobby Roode ever since his days at Impact Wrestling. Coming on board and that glorified, no pun intended, entrance that he had at NXT, it's like he really solidified himself as a major player, and that suddenly that magic died. Again, another issue where he made it to the main roster. Probably the highlight was when he was in that U.S. championship tournament and actually won the title. That was in my hometown, by the way. I saw that live.
He was champion once? I don't even remember.
Yeah, I mean, that just goes to show you how irrelevant he's become. He was a U.S. champion. He won that tournament in Laredo, Texas. So it just goes to show you, it just doesn't matter. It came and went. Everybody forgot. His entrance doesn't even get a pop these days. So it's a shame. That magic came and went. And I don't see him bouncing back from that anymore. I think the... what we saw from him in NXT is the highest that he's going to get, the WWE.
Yeah, he just lost to Connor on Raw.
Clean, oh my God.
Pretty much.
That's horrible. So, yeah.
What's the point? Clearly, the WWE doesn't care. You know, maybe
because he's a TNA guy. This is still Vincent McMahon doing the final approval and everything.
Oh, you might not be wrong on that.
Yeah.
Might not be wrong. And that's a real shame, because the guy has the work. He's a very safe worker. He's got a good look to him. The gimmick did work, and now they've made it not work. They've turned it into him not working.
Yeah, like nobody cares. Nobody talks about it. No pop. Nobody even sings along anymore, but that's their fault.
And the only way you could fix it is you have Seth Rollins do an open challenge for the IC title, right? And as much as I'm so sick of just this open challenge bullshit, that would be the only way to book Bobby Roode into immediate relevance again. He beats Seth Rollins clean, no shenanigans, right? And then you have him, as soon as he wins that title, you have Chad Gable come out, congratulate him, and then he beats the shit out of Chad Gable.
That would be cool.
And that makes Chad Gable relevant. Hey, just like that.
Yeah,
and then you have
that would be fucking glorious.
You have a mid-card feud just like that, and people would care.
But of course, that's not going to happen.
But that's not going to happen. No.
Yeah,
because it doesn't circulate around the Shield, which is the only thing they know how to write for. But that's how I'd fix Bobby Roode. I still like the guy, just like a lot of people still like Chad Gable. They just clearly don't give a shit to do anything with him.
Mm-mm.
Especially if they're losing to the Ascension in singles matches. Like, oh boy. That's depressing.
It really is.
That's how you break a fan, is that kind of booking.
And it's already been done with so many fans already. They're just getting tired of their bullshit. You know, Vince McMahon is still on this territorial eat up mentality still, and he's just trying to get up all these guys, as many as he can, away from relevancy, and he quickly buries them. That's not good, man. That's not good for the business. It's not good for keeping fan viewership. But why don't they care? Because fans are still going to pay the $9.99 a month for their product, and the numbers and money don't lie. So they really don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, well, I've said it. I've said this before. Even WCW in 2000 had 2 million viewers watching until the very end.
Oh yeah,
you can't tell me that product was good to watch.
Oh man, David Arquette winning the world championship, I would rather see 100 times than what WWE puts out today. I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
Ooh, okay,
and that's going very, very low.
Wow. All right. Well, that's fine. I mean.
Hey, it's better than seeing Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar in the main event.
I suppose. It is, yeah. All right. Shinsuke Nakamura, the current U.S. champion, over on SmackDown.
Man, another shame. You know, I really was a fan of his heel turn at WrestleMania. That was unpredictable. It was executed so well. But they quickly messed it up when they made it into a joke, and it became the low blow versus low blow match between AJ Styles and Nakamura. And not having Nakamura at least win a single championship from AJ Styles, I think, is what pretty much killed them. Although I think there's still hope, because Shinsuke Nakamura is still a huge name. He's still a big deal. It's just that right now I don't think anybody really cares as they did before, and I blame it on that feud.
The feud was an absolute disaster. They did have a couple good matches there at the end, but we were already so out of it that it didn't really matter. Because you can like the match and then just not care about the result, and that's what it was at the end of the day. And now that he's the U.S. champion, he's been the champion for what, like 2 months now? Yeah,
it's been a while, but I don't think there's really been anything. Nothing.
He hasn't had a single feud, and to me, that's the problem with the quote unquote mid card belt. This is like Bobby Roode. They're doing nothing with him. This is their own choice. Their best idea right now is so focused on their slew of pay-per-views, right? And they're just not utilizing. Think Booker T when he was the TV champion on Thunder. Yeah. He was given time to have a match and build a feud specifically for TV. It didn't have to be on the pay-per-view. You can have a feud built for TV, and it culminates on TV. That makes watching TV worth it. Make something for Nakamura to fight for on TV. You could open every show of SmackDown with Nakamura defending the belt and having some sort of rivalry develop. Easily. But instead, he's pretty much just off TV altogether. He's not even cutting heel promos. He's just not there.
Yeah.
It's really a misstep. It's I don't like it personally. It's pretty sad. So, Carmelo and R-Truth. This is an interesting one. A lot of people are loving it.
Oh, is this part of that mixed tag team tournament thing going on? Well, I haven't seen any of that, so.
Oh no, I'm not watching Mixed Match Challenge. That's a waste of time.
Yeah,
that's part of the monthly PR stunt before they go to Crown Jewel.
Well, I mean, I guess the upside is if people actually like it, okay, so be it. We don't have to personally like it. A lot of fans don't have to accept it. But, I mean, if it gives R-Truth relevancy, I mean, I guess that's okay. Carmella obviously is a big name right now because of how they're booking her. I've never agreed with it. I don't think she ever deserved the championship, but that's only my personal opinion. But if people are actually tuning in to see these two together and their shenanigans and think they, mesh well, so to speak, I mean, by all means.
I think they mesh well. Don't get me wrong. I like R-Truth getting some TV time. However, this doesn't come with some dumb decisions. You spent an entire summer building Carmella as the credible champion. She beat Charlotte and Asuka twice.
Yeah,
basically clean. And as soon as she lost the title, she turned face in 1 week with no explanation.
Yeah.
And the only thing that happened was R-Truth called Maurice other Carmella, and he said something like Maurice said she was irrelevant or whatever, and then Carmella joined R-Truth, and all of a sudden she's face. That was their explanation. And now she's with R-Truth. That was problem 1. Problem 2 is, hey, you can have R-Truth being highlighted in segments and everything. He doesn't need to be winning fucking matches. And if you're gonna make Carmella so irrelevant, don't have her winning matches either. Like, break her down. If you're gonna make him a comic sketch, make him a comic sketch. Don't have him win, because that goes into our next one. Andrade Cien Almas and Vega. They've lost pretty much everything since calling up. And Vega lost to Carmella clean as a whistle in the tag match. What are your thoughts on Almas and Vega? I have no problem again with R-Truth like getting the spotlight or anything, but
yeah, I think that's the only upside from that. As far as Andrade and Cien Almas and Vega, I think it's another sad situation because they were freaking huge. I mean, huge in NXT. Cien Almas was having incredible matches. Selena Vega was killing it as his manager. It was just good stuff. And I even think we talked about the transition in one of our past episodes, JD, where we mentioned that we were very scared once they transitioned over to the main roster, and sure enough, it's really showing. They've really haven't done anything of relevancy with Almas, and Selena Vega is stuck losing to people who I feel shouldn't even be beating her to begin with. So it's just another sad situation, and I think they're going to pretty much fade away into obscurity, just like the rest of them.
Yeah. A lot of people are, on the upside, they go, no, they're looking good losing. And I go, how many matches do you lose before you stop looking good?
Yeah.
I looked up on Cage Match, like the win-loss record of Vega and Almas. They've lost every mixed tag match together except one, and that was the SummerSlam pre-show match. And Almas has only beaten Sin Cara, which was the most irrelevant feud I've seen in like 2 years in WWE.
Yeah.
That was his call-up. It took him 4 months after the call-up to debut on TV. 4 months. So that was a strike. He lost to Rusev. He's faced Rusev 3 times. He's beat him once and lost twice. And then anybody else he's faced, he's lost to. The jobbers do not count. Jobber matches do not count. Squash matches. But he's lost every single match except one, pretty much. So I'm scared for Almas. I'm not confident they have any plan with him, just like they have no plan for Shinsuke Nakamura as US champ. I'm extremely scared.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's buried yet. I'm just wondering, like, what's that number going to be for fans to stop caring? Because I think it's approaching very fast. Because okay, let's I had a conversation with buddy Colin in the Twitter group, because he thought Carmella and R-Truth beat Almas and Vega in that mixed tag match, right? Carmella made Vega tap out clean as a whistle, right? So Vega's losing singles matches left and right because she's a tiny little Mexican girl. That's what they see. That's what the brass sees. Not beating around the bush on that one. And they go, well, that doesn't hurt Almas. I go, why not? He keeps seeing his manager get beaten and he's losing matches because of her. That's not good. R-Truth is, what is he, 47 years old? And Almas is 25? Who are you gonna book? If you're a promoter, who you gonna book to win?
Yeah, obviously the younger guy. Unless the older guys, that.
R-Truth has never been the money maker, right?
Yeah.
you know, and they go, well, it's good that he's getting time now. Well, they missed the boat on R-Truth. I'm sorry, 15 years ago.
Man, even when they had that 2011 thing, the Awesome Truth NWO thing going on, that was probably his highest, peak when he was heel, and they didn't really do anything with him after that. I thought this was it. Like, yeah, R-Truth is finally gonna, get his big break, and it suddenly came crashing down. They broke up the tag team and gave everything to The Miz.
Yeah, so R-Truth can have his comic role. He's been doing that for what, 10 years now?
Yeah, that's all he's good for.
That's
all well booking.
That's all well and good. I mean, I got a kick out of him kind of rolling up The Miz because Daniel Bryan came down and distracting, makes R-Truth look a little better. He wins a match, continues the feud on the other end. That makes sense. But then him beating a guy like Almas for seemingly no reason, even if it's a mixed tag match, it's still a W and an L at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's still another L for Almas, and that doesn't look good, especially with R-Truth involved. Alrighty, I think we vented enough for WWE. I got no more names written down personally, but that's all that's been going on, really. I mean, all the pay-per-views have rinse and repeat matches like galore.
Yeah, and then no need to go through them.
No need to go through that. Yeah.
I'm just happy coming off of the pay-per-view, the Super Show in Australia earlier today. Becky Lynch is still champion. AJ Styles is still champion. So good for me.
Yeah, despite what actually happened, but anyways, I don't like what they're going. Oh, we got Travis in the chat. He came for Brad Armstrong. Well, he's about 2.5 hours late on that.
Man, what's going on, Travis? Thanks for stopping by, bud.
Yeah. A lot of people in Periscope still hanging around, so that's very nice. Yeah. We got 30 people watching on Periscope.
Freaking A.
I think it's 30.
Yeah, good viewership.
They've been popping up in and out of the chat all night. Let me see here. Oh. But yeah, we just got done venting WWE. Let's see, connecting. Oh, it's not showing me the number. Got a lot of people joining, though, every once in a while. Anyways.
Where are you promoting, JD? Just a side thought.
Twitter. I'm on.
Okay.
I'm live on Twitch, Mixer, Periscope, the YouTubes. We got lots of people hanging out here, so.
Cool.
All right, well, let's get on to... Let me play the WCW Thunder Drop, and we can get into that.
Nice.
Welcome to WCW Thunder, the greatest show on the planet, the wrestling show on Thursday night. It's Thunder, and Goldberg's probably going to be in a squash match. Well, take us away, nice. Rad. This is your bread and butter.
Hell yeah! Okay, so here we are. I got
my slew of notes, so we're good.
Awesome. I'm looking at them right now. Episode 9, WCW Thunder. This was on March 5th, 1998. So we open up with a video package of Macho Man being the real man of the year, getting the award for that, knowing how to fix the NWO. I actually remember that promo very well. I want to say, strange. I think I posted it on Twitter not too long ago. So, Macho Man, real man of the year. NWO and Hulk Hogan promo about beating up Macho Man. So they definitely were at each other's throats already. I believe they were already building up towards a was it the steel cage match at Uncensored?
Yes.
Okay, so now I know where I'm at in my history. So this was already a big deal. Wolfpack hasn't started yet, but you could already see that the NWO was kind of like dividing. So, this has been the ongoing storyline that we've been touching base upon going on each episode of WCW Thunder. So here we have it. Steiner still can't extend his index and pinky finger for a too sweet. I missed that. Is that something that you saw? I didn't see that. Maybe
ever since he joined the NWO, he
just can't
do it. He can't do it. It's like it's so visibly in my face. He just kind of puts his thumb and fingers together. That's all he does.
Oh man, freaking White Thunder.
He doesn't extend. It's just like a circle in his hand, and he just taps everyone. It's so visibly funny to me. And then Rick Rude, in this whole promo, Rick Rude, everyone's standing around Hogan like you know, you had Crush, whatever his fucking name was in WCW, I already forgot.
Brian Adams.
Brian Adams, thank you. Brian Adams. They're all circling around Hogan like he's you know, they gotta worship the ground he walks on, brother.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But here's Rick Rude in the far off corner, just sitting on the turnbuckle the whole time.
Yeah, he's just getting paid.
He's just getting paid. It's yeah, that's Rick Rude for you. So that's what stood out to me in the promo. Besides, yeah, the whole NWO being at each other's throats. I'm like picking things that I see that are just standing out to me.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right, so where do we go from there?
All right, so moving on over to the opening match. Obviously, we have the NWO Vincent, head of security, NWO, aka Virgil in WWF, going up against, here we have it, JD, Goldberg. 28 seconds later, and we're done. So that's the opening match. That's funny to open with that. Oh,
yeah,
man.
time for that. The crowd went nuts,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, but...
Of course. Yeah, Goldberg was already getting at the peak. Everybody was already tuning in to see his streak continue. You know, obviously, I don't think anybody expected for Vincent to be the guy to break the streak. So,
oh no,
yeah,
oh, no.
Goldberg picks up a quick win 28 seconds later.
I just love, this is what I'm noticing now. I love that after Goldberg wins all these matches, and they like showing highlights of the matches. It's mostly just Goldberg walking down to the ring. Like, that's the whole highlight package.
Yeah, that is hilarious. I mean, because if you really think about it, the 10-20 second highlight package is really how long the match actually took place. So might as well just replay it again.
Yeah, pretty funny stuff.
So moving on over to some cruiserweight action, you have Prince Ikea going up against Eddie Guerrero. This match was 3 minutes, but somehow was decent enough. Granted that anything Eddie Guerrero was involved in was almost gold. So good stuff here. Yeah, I mean, he made Prince Ikea look good in this match. Eddie Guerrero using tricks to take out the leg. He was already lying, cheating, and stealing ever since. And
This might have been the first instance where he started doing that. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was the lying, cheating, steal kind of guy to begin with, but this was a match that definitely highlighted that. Showed that.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had already been doing this for years before, but I think this was around the time where he was already capitalizing on that and utilizing it in his character moving forward. So
yeah, I quite like it. Anything Eddie Guerrero did in the ring was gold. So
good stuff. Yeah.
3 minutes.
Next up, we moving on over to another, I guess, cruiserweight bout, so to speak, between luchadors. We have El Dandy. Anybody remember him? Versus Juventud Guerrera.
I sure as hell didn't.
Are you serious? Oh man, I still remember him like it's yesterday. But you know, then again, I watched all of Thunder and Saturday Night, so very familiar with El Dandy. But either way, obviously, I know not somebody that stands out going up against the Juice, Juventud Guerrera. So we had a showcase of Juventud here with his arsenal of moves. El Dandy had some pretty good stuff moving forward in this match. Obviously, he does have the talent. He is a luchador coming from Mexico. He helped make Juvi look real good here. Wasn't a squash. It was definitely a decent one-on-one. Focusing on Juvi as a wrestler. So that's interesting because Juventud Guerrero has already been involved in stuff going on with Chris Jericho, La Parka in previous Thunder episodes. So you can tell that they're definitely building around him.
This was the first match where Juventud lost his mask. So I think this was kind of bringing out a new side of his character. And what I liked about this was because it wasn't a squash, and I really liked El Dandy and what he brought as an enhancement talent, and I think that's kind of a lost art in a lot of wrestling, especially in today's world where it's just here's a local talent, go out and squash the guy hard. Take Keith Lee when he debuted in NXT and he faced Marcel Bartel. He didn't squash Marcel Bartel. Marcel got, and that's Axel Dieter Jr., by the way, the WXW guy.
Yeah.
And I was very happy with that because it didn't make Dieter look weak, but it also didn't, you know, the whole point, I get it, was to make Keith Lee look like a fucking star, right? And I think enhancement talents are really, they need to come back. You know,
yeah, definitely. And we're not talking about like being a jobber. We're simply calling it that enhancement. I like that term, and that is really a lost art. You know, you had your superstars, you had the main eventers, the mid carders, and the jobbers, but there was also enhancement talent meant to make that person look good moving forward, and it definitely was showcased here.
Yeah. So good stuff.
So yeah, next up we have Macho Man coming to the ring, and he calls out.
It is important to say Conan came down after the bell, and he talked some shit to Juventud about him losing his mask. He's disrespected. You know, he's worthless. Yeah,
he was still in the NWO at the time.
Yeah, Conan's good stuff, no doubt. So looks like to be a program going forward from there with Conan and Juventud.
Yeah, definitely important to point that out. Now moving on over, Macho Man comes out also to cut a promo of his own, calling out Hollywood Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Obviously, the crowd is 100% behind Macho Man. Anything that guy ever did was gold as well. You know, I don't think people were going to boo him going up against the NWO. He was that cool rebel. You know, finally we had an actual lone wolf, and it was Macho Man Randy Savage. So he tells Hulk Hogan that half of the guys pretty much want him out. There's a pecking order brewing, and if I'm not mistaken, this was the promo where he tells him to his face that there's guys standing behind him that want to stab a knife right into his back. I could be wrong. That might have been Kevin Nash, but
no, that
yeah.
Is the promo.
So this one. Awesome. Okay. So yeah. So Macho Man obviously is you know, really telling Hulk Hogan, you know, telling it like it is, and he mentions wanting to crush Bryan Adams. I like the play on words there.
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
that was funny to me. I was like,
yeah,
write that down.
Yeah, he's always was good with his promos like that. You know, definitely a good talker. You know, so he's going to crush Bryan Adams, and Hulk Hogan, center of the ring. Hollywood Hogan just laughs it off, and he accepts. You know, obviously he was cocky. The second he got into a match, always got became a coward, so it just didn't make any sense. But good stuff here, typical NWO stuff. So then we move on over to a video package of Lex Luger cutting a promo wanting to beat up Scott Thunder, dressed all in white, the White Thunder, Scott Steiner. So, but now he's referred to as White Thunder, as we already know. I think you touched base on this in the last episode, GD, that I wasn't a part of. So we already, here we are, week 2 with Scott Steiner as the newest member of the NWO. So Scott Steiner comes down to the ring and he beats up a jobber, Chase Tatum. Don't see too many 6'4" jobbers. That is crazy. I didn't realize that he beat him. But
he just
anyways,
beat the crap out of the guy, and this dude Chase Tatum is massive.
Yeah, I remember a big guy. But then again, Scott Steiner was a major force, you know, to be reckoned with, and that was just elevated, joining the NWO, going on his own, breaking away from the Steiner brothers. So good stuff. Obviously, he was in a push to become even bigger than what he already was.
Right. Yeah, not being White Thunder anymore. That was cut.
Yeah.
Just after 1 week.
Yeah,
but he's all in white, and I'm just like, huh, okay.
Yeah, that went nowhere. You know, so Scott Steiner again, but he's still sporting the White Thunder look. So this is how we know him nowadays. Big Papa Pump.
In White Thunder, that was just that.
I think even they knew that was garbage. That's why they had to ditch it.
Oh yeah, they're just like, that didn't work. All right,
yeah, that's
again.
not going to sell shirts, you know.
Yeah, just accept that just didn't work out. I mean, I wish WWE would do that more often. Okay, that didn't work. Let's just scrap that idea.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, that would be so good. But no, they just keep running with it for like the next 5 years.
So stubborn. Oh my God. But yeah, I didn't get to talk about this with you, but that White Thunder promo with Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. Oh dear God. And that duo is going to be a thing going forward, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. They made so many Thunder appearances going all the way into Halloween Havoc. So that's going like all the way into October.
I had blocked that out from my memory.
Man, Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell were like a huge part of the show. They even had their own segment moving forward, especially on Thunder. So yeah, get used to it, man.
You know, I want to say I don't remember it, but I definitely remember it. Not in so much detail, because the detail is just blocked from my memory. That's some PTSD stuff.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, Buff Bagwell wasn't really the same after his injury. So that year, he kind of just played the role of not really being the manager, but just like a Scott Steiner's lackey. Like they went everywhere together. So he needed something to do, and this was it. You had Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner everywhere.
Yeah, they can fucking jizz in White Thunder's pants to all their muscles that they pose all the time. Good God.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, though, unfortunately at the time I was actually a fan of Buff Bagwell, so I liked these segments, but now I know they're not. It's not good. It's garbage.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's to the point of bad where I'm just cracking up. Like it's a segment
that's so bad it's good type of thing.
It's so bad it's good, and it's not meant to be. It's meant to be, highlighting Scott Steiner as the opposing force going forward, and Buff Bagwell is just the heel to hate, and instead it's just, wow.
You know how hilarious this is, and I'm only going to go off on a tangent here just momentarily, because we're on the topic of Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell. And you know what? This is a perfect time, because we're October heading into, Halloween, October 31st. So Halloween Havoc, big pay-per-view for WCW. A match they were building towards that year, 1998, was the big brother versus brother match, which Scott had procrastinated in getting into.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, he was playing the role of being a coward, not wanting to face his brother, who he claimed that he was better than, obviously, but never faced him. So we had Scott Steiner versus Rick Steiner build up towards Halloween Havoc for an entire month on Nitro and Thunder. Randomly, especially when Scott Steiner was in the ring, you would hear some maniacal laugh in the background. Well, the climatic moment, it turns out that it was Chucky from Child's Play promoting I think it was the Bride of Chucky movie at the time.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes. Oh my God, it was so bad. It was cringeworthy. So then at the end, when we finally found out who it was, Chucky comes out on the Titantron, if you will, and Rick Steiner is like, who's that laughing? Are you laughing at me, Mean Gene? Mean Gene's, oh God, no, I wouldn't do that, blah, blah, blah. So then Chucky comes out and he starts trash talking against Rick Steiner. And the funny thing is, he tells him not to mess with Scott, that Scott Steiner is like the best wrestler today, and not to mess with him, and then to go check out his new movie.
I remember all that. That's also when that's also when Rick, if I'm not mistaken, like got the really thick, like curly hair going.
Yeah,
under the mask,
that's exactly
under his headgear. Yeah, that's exactly. I do remember all that. That was so.
Oh man, but it was so bad. It's good.
I saw the movie, so. I got to go see the movie.
It did its job. So Chucky told Rick Steiner to not to mess with Scott. That Scott's going to win his big match, and to go check out his movie.
I can't wait. I can't wait for those Thunder episodes later.
Oh man, before the internet, JD, there used to be this hotline that you would call. I'm not talking about Mean Gene's hotline, like just a wrestling hotline. I used to call it, and it was actually free. Rumors had it that laugh was supposed to be the debut of Sid Vicious in WCW at the time.
Oh.
So I was actually excited. I was like, holy crap, Psycho Sid. But I was totally bummed out that, it was revealed to be Chucky, and we didn't see Sid Vicious until the summer after 1999. So that's my little story on that. Yeah, he hadn't broken his leg yet. So that was funny. But anyways, so all this Scott Steiner, Buff Bagwell, Rick Steiner, builds up to their one-on-one match at Halloween Havoc, with the big reveal that Chucky's the one laughing at everybody at every show. It's so funny.
I will applaud this. If this happened in today's day and age, that Rick Steiner Scott Steiner match would have happened immediately at Uncensored.
Yeah, there
would have been no build to it.
Mm-hmm. That's where it should have happened.
You think it should have happened at Uncensored?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was right after. The thing is that we had Rick Steiner booked in matches that just really didn't make any sense. He had really nothing going on for him. So like for an entire year, we just had procrastination with the big Rick versus Scott match.
I don't know.
Or maybe at the next big pay-per-view, Great American Bash or Bash at the Beach, at least in the summer.
Yeah.
I know it was supposed to happen at Road Wild that year. The big pay-per-view built around Jay Leno and Eric Bischoff. They were scheduled to face, but again, the procrastination and the cowardly acts of Scott Steiner started, where he started to fake injuries. Scott Steiner and Buff Bagwell got like a fake doctor and everything. Yeah. So they were always just tucking their way out of it.
Well, I get it. Like, it's to build up Scott Steiner and the character and the duo of fucking Buff Bagwell.
It's just comedic. Yeah.
that's what made me want to keep wanting the match more and more and more and more, as opposed to just here's this grudge match like 3 weeks later, you know.
That's true. But unfortunately, with the long build-up, we never got the proper one-on-one.
Well,
so.
in this sense, it didn't work out in the end, but I thought the build was good. And that was something, and I've spoken about this, the build with WCW matches were good. The matches just didn't deliver. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So, where are we? We're at a video package of Giant showing up on Nitro as he gut-wrench powerbombs Nash, fined $50,000. Oh yeah, then Nash had like the
ongoing
the
feud.
hurt back. Yeah. So let's move on right after that.
Okay, so now we are at. So we got a Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude going up against Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Didn't we just do a spotlight on him? 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, Neidhart, indeed.
Yeah. So that's really cool that we're touching base on him again. But yeah, so here we have another match. Some shoulder tackles, you have chin locks, typical, I guess, match that you would get out of Kurt Hennig. Rick Rude hits Anvil with a 2x4, and then Fisherman 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I guess quick, easy stuff here.
Yeah, it's an abruptly came to an end. So, moving on over, we have Mike Tenay interviews Raven, who's in the ring in anticipation for the U.S. title match in the main event. So you have Raven shedding some light on the past between him and DDP. Crowd chants ECW, so that was pretty cool to see.
That was really cool.
I mean, obviously everybody already knew who he was, and Raven had quite the history in ECW, so a lot of good stuff there. Yeah,
this was a really good promo by Raven. As cryptic and weird as it was, even Mike Tenay's kind of facial expressions, he's like, what the hell is he saying? But
gotta quote the Raven evermore.
Yeah, it was still a really good promo. It definitely got the crowd behind him and what he was saying. I mean, it worked. Yeah. It got me hyped for the main event.
And I want to say,
Mike Tenay, man, early TNA.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And with this current feud that we're in, obviously Raven was supposed to be the heel, but I guess you can consider him neutral here because the crowd was behind him, and I think we all love to see the matches between him and DDP. I think it was the closest thing to hardcore as hardcore would get in WCW that we would ever see, at least on TV.
Yeah, with the Ravens rules.
Rules.
The crowd was behind Raven. They didn't like Raven's flock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, we all saw the flock as nothing but lackeys and people who nobody really knew anybody in there. Maybe with the exception of
Billy Kidman.
Billy Kidman. Sick Boy, or who was the one that was in the American Males?
I think it was Sick Boy, wasn't it?
Right, it was Sick Boy. I mean, those are probably like the only names. And you had other guys like Lodi. He kind of stood out with the signs.
Lodi's funny.
Reese was like the giant, but they didn't really do anything with him.
No. So, oh God, no.
Yeah. So it was just a bunch of lackeys. But other than that, Raven was the crowd really got behind. A lot of fans for Raven in WCW 1998. So,
yep.
I mean, he's on the cover of WCW NW Revenge. So,
damn right he is.
Yeah, you have Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash, Goldberg, and Raven representing the flock. So, just wanted to point that out.
Oh, so we're at this part in Thunder.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So here we are. We have a video package promo of Chris Jericho saying the fans love him and need to love him more. Typical Jericho. He's been at it ever since, hasn't he?
Yeah, the video package promos on this particular episode of Thunder were really good. Those pre-recorded like 90s grungy kind of promos. I really liked them. This episode of Thunder was very good for it. So, who did Jericho face?
Oh, this is an interesting one. Yeah, we just talked about this. Okay. Cyclope. Anybody remember him?
Cyclope.
Yeah, otherwise, aka Cyclope, luchador from Mexico. Pretty much just looked like somebody dressed in a Halloween costume.
Yes.
I remember him very well.
So, I remember the Halloween guy.
Yeah.
Not Cyclope, which is the same guy. But yeah, I have questions. Because this was a mess. This is the first time we've seen Cyclope. It's a masked wrestler in what I can only describe, Brad, as Flintstones gear with a giant Cyclops eye on his forehead.
Yeah, I guess that's the perfect way to describe it. Or a walking jack-o'-lantern. I don't know.
So Jericho does have Juventude's mask around his neck, wearing it like a necklace. It's kind of a nice touch. Jericho just nailing the character that he has any time and every time. So Jericho oversells a crossbody. I'm just going to take over this match because it was so bizarre. Mm-hmm. Jericho oversells a crossbody to the turnbuckle, falls to the outside, and then that's almost immediately. And immediately the match just goes to absolute shit. So Jericho kind of fumbles around the outside, and he goes to the area where the ramp and the ring are. And Cycloplay goes for a tope and totally misses Jericho. Like, Jericho's a good... Like, he's almost at the end of the ramp there, but Cycloplay not only misses left too much, he also short jumps himself, where he kind of, like, hits the rope and the apron, and Jericho's like, oh shit, he's gonna miss me horribly, so Jericho kind of tries to go under him and catch him a bit. Not even close. So, there was that. It looked like Cycloplay jumped at nothing. So they get back in the ring, and they do a simple little, 10-second exchange. Cycloplay then gets on Jericho's shoulders and tries to do a kind of a Hurricane Rana type thing, but he just falls off his shoulders instead, like he slips.
Oh, man.
Just falls off, and Jericho, like, just looks at him. He's like, what the fuck is happening here? Because it's like the second, like, they were botching a little bit before when the match first started, but this was two straight, like, major botches, so Jericho just looks at him and then just puts him in the walls of Jericho, and then he just taps out.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was over. Obviously, these guys didn't have chemistry.
No, there was nothing here. So I think this was just a case of, let's just get this over with.
Yeah, and to make things easier, they would pronounce his name at times Cyclope, so I do remember him very well, and I remember actually most notably in like those large, 6-man or 8-man tag matches. Oh, so sure, that's probably, I guess the contributions that he made to WCW at least, but obviously in this match, they just didn't go well together. So
yeah, let's just say this was a bad trip down memory lane, bad first impression.
I'm guessing it's just because since they had already that triangle rivalry going on. You had Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Juventud Guerrera, that kind of thing going on. They just probably had to give him both like different opponents already moving forward, and that's probably how Chris Jericho ended up wrestling Cyclope, and obviously it didn't work.
No, it did not work.
But then again, this was WCW Thunder. It was already WCW's B show, so I don't really think they cared. They might have just slapped it together, which was part of probably Jericho's frustration wanting to leave the company.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just not having really programs. He basically had to get himself over.
Yeah, he did it all by himself. That was all him.
Yeah. Alrighty. Where do we go from there?
Next match, looks like we have another squash here. Scott Norton, the pissed off NWO member, very intimidating, going up against a jobber. I didn't really catch this episode recently, so I don't know who you're referring to as didn't get his name, but I'm pretty sure it was a no-name. Squash, power bombs.
I tried to find his name, but never got it. I don't think they even said it on commentary.
Yeah, they probably didn't. Maybe it was like a local tryout. I know WCW did that a lot as well. So,
yeah.
But I'm guessing the whole idea behind this wasn't necessarily the match itself, but rather that the Giant comes down and power bombs Scott Norton. Yep. Choke slams the jobber. Cops come out and chain together Giant's hands because the cuffs just simply won't fit. I remember that very well. He was the Giant, so massive hands. Good stuff. But the whole point was just about that.
Yeah, continuing the feud of Giant and Nash, and now Giant doing what Nash was doing.
Lawsuit and stuff. Yeah,
it was fine. Continuing the story. I got no problem with not seeing a Scott Norton match, to be honest.
That was pretty much his thing as well. I said that for a reason, and he was just that pissed off member that just came out and beat up people.
Yeah.
I think around this time, maybe in that summer, he was kind of like back and forth. He was a major star in New Japan, and he actually became the IWGP heavyweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
Brought it over to WCW a couple of times later that year to defend it. So that was Scott Norton's highlight year, but obviously not going up against a jobber in this episode.
No, not this one.
So moving on over, we already it's main event time. Raven versus Diamond Dallas Page for the U.S. Championship, and it's under Raven's rules. So here we go with the hardcore stuff that we were talking about in WCW. If you want to go ahead and take this away, JD.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because I'm the big DDP mark.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so DDP gets the mic and says to Raven, you know, Raven's rules, that's fine for the U.S. title. And then he goes, but also DDP rules, which we never did get what that meant. But what I did see was Nick Patrick just hits the bricks immediately. Like, he just jumps out the ring. Raven and DDP immediately take the fight to the outside of the ring, almost all the way to the back. The crowd is going fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like, a few fans are like throwing stuff at the wrestlers, you know, popcorn and drinks and whatever. So this immediately had heat, and just about as the fight was going to go backstage, Benoit, like, you just see both guys fly out from behind the curtain. Well, Benoit showed up and he starts beating both guys up. So I think at this point we can assume that the match is pretty much thrown out.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's building up to that. They had like a triple threat at Uncensored, right?
Yeah. It was all to build the three-way match at Uncensored, which we're getting in a couple weeks upon this episode of Thunder. Pure fight until some massive 6'6" dude shows up. That's that just massive
Reese.
Yeah, Reese. That's that massive dude you mentioned earlier. We don't know his name yet in this episode of Thunder. So then he shows up, totally ruins the brawl that was ensued, because I was enthralled in it. I knew the match was thrown out, but I still wanted to see the guys beat the hell out of each other.
I remember this. Even when Reese showed up, I was like, "Who the fuck is that, man?" Like, it was just it was a good ending.
Yeah, Raven's flock hits the ring. They bring down a guardrail and throw it in the ring, and then Raven even flows DDTs, both Benoit and DDP, on that guardrail that was brought in. Just chaos. It makes Raven look super fucking strong. Raven's flock is a force. How is Benoit and DDP, either of them, going to overcome Raven and his own rules and what he's doing? It's pretty cool. Raven's definitely supposed to be the heel, even though the crowd likes the whole hardcore against the system attitude.
Oh yeah, and this was still like it was still the '90s, so people were into that grunge look, and Raven's flock
the whole
rocked
Nirvana
it.
And everything. Oh yeah, it was just like that. And DDP's the people's champ. He's my people's champ.
Yeah,
not The Rock. It was DDP. I'll argue anyone all day. And then Benoit was just the dude. He was the crippler,
the workhorse.
Yeah. And you know, the crowd was behind him for just working good matches. So this was actually pretty good for Benoit's character, him interrupting this match. He was coming across as a guy that wants the title, and he doesn't want to be the third wheel. So, and plus Raven interrupted his matches with DDP, so it was kind of like getting revenge in their own little way there.
Yeah.
So, I really liked it. This was a good example of a screwy finish.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it worked.
It did work. In this case, it worked.
So then, moving on over to the second main event, we have Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Bryan Adams going up against Randy Savage, who was the one who actually gave the offer to begin with.
Right.
So Randy Savage fends off both for a couple of minutes until some jacked, unknown blonde dude comes down. Then the rest of the NWO comes down to join the Savage beatdown. So this unknown blonde dude, that's the Disciple, isn't it?
I believe so. But again, he's just some big blonde dude.
We don't know
this particular episode of Thunder.
Yeah, I remember that. You know what? As a matter of fact, I remember this one. I remember my friends and I, we were watching it live together at my house, and we were discussing that might be Hollywood Hogan's brother. Nowhere near did we ever think of the Brutus Beefcake, being that Disciple-looking guy. So, anyways, just a trip down memory lane. But the rest of the NWO comes down to join the Savage beatdown. Crowd chants for Sting, so Sting comes down with the back, and the ring clears, and that's the end of the show until Monday Nitro next week.
See ya, Nitro.
Good ending,
yeah. It's a pretty wild episode of Thunder, I must say.
Yeah, that sounds more like a Nitro, to be honest. So maybe they weren't on that B show feel yet, but obviously you had some of the undercard performing, in the show anyway. But
it was a good, with the exception of the absolute disaster, the Jericho Ciclope match. I really liked this episode of Thunder.
Yeah,
really
it was
did.
a good one.
This was a very solid show. Definitely better than anything I've seen in the last like modern times, pretty much. If I, you know, looking at like weekly wrestling shows in modern times, I'll even put that up against the Shotgun from WXW. Like, this was a good show. I was very much entertained from bottom to top.
Yeah. I want to say I have this one recorded.
Yeah, well, you should. This is good. This is a good episode of Thunder. I'm very much into the U.S. title picture still, so they're doing their job there. I'm very much into Savage being the rebel of the NWO, and I thought the main event, as much as I did have an issue with Sting coming down for seemingly no reason, but that's just what he was at the time, and the crowd wanted it. So I'm sure if I remember my younger self being the Sting mark, I was probably like, "Where's Sting? Save the Macho Man!"
Yeah, that was to be
expected. I'm like 90% sure that's how
Whenever chaos ensued, you knew Sting was going to make an appearance. It was just part of the show at the time.
So, Jericho kind of being in that match was disappointing, but that was more or less how the match ended up going down. I'm curious to what is in store for the future with the Cruiserweight title, since he beat Juventud Guerrera. Maybe that leads to Juventud versus Guerrero down the line soon. Who knows?
But we'll get there.
We'll get there. What'd you think of this episode of Thunder?
I thought it was good, and you know, going down the list of matches here, it definitely was a trip down memory lane. I want to say I do have this one recorded on VHS. Just got to hit up that bin. But anyway, it's on the network, so that's how we're following up on these shows.
Yeah. So cool stuff. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Stay tuned for if you're listening on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, and what have you. Next up will be the 40-minute interview from Beyond Wrestling with Rich Palladino. So that'll be really cool to watch. Sorry for a little bit of lower audio quality there, but it was recorded live from the show. So you get a lot of background noise and some audio clipping, but hey, par for the course. And just quick, get to do what you haven't experienced in quite some time, Rad, is the wrestler ranking update.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm going to start with WWE because it will not cover Super Showdown, because that's in the next episode with the Smack It Down guys. So WWE was really fucking difficult because it was hard to even get 10 names of wrestlers.
Yeah, just keep it on
I had to include NXT from this week, which I did get to watch. I am caught up on that. So I got I'm just going top to bottom right now, and if you've kept up with NXT 205 Live, and this is the last 205 Live match I'm watching. I'm bowing out with 205 Live. I have to start cutting down on certain things in my life and putting things over others that are more important. 205 Live is one of the first things I've dropped easily. There are no programs, Rad. There's no programs. It's just go out there and have a match. I see flippy shit on the indie scenes all the time. I don't need to watch 205 Live to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so number 1, Mustafa Ali. 2 is Lars Sullivan. I like the EC3 match they had at NXT. That was a good one. 3, Hideo Itami. That was that draw that Mustafa Ali and Itami had. Good stuff. 4, EC3. 5, Revival. That's the last time we'll see him on this list, probably. Because they're that tag team match on Raw. So 6 is Dolph Ziggler. I'm calling him Ziggles now. 7, Drew McIntyre. 8, Johnny Gargano. 9, Tony Nese. Those two had a good match on the same NXT episode. 10, Lio Rush. He's in his new role with Bobby Lashley as the 205 small guy that gets beaten down. But then on 205 Live, he's a cocky guy who's probably going to be one of the next guys gunning for the title. He's looking like the 23-year-old piece of gold, but he's looking like the 23-year-old piece of gold that's being bent and molded into a bigger dude's little plaything.
Yeah, so, pretty much. He's just good for spots at this point.
Good for spots. It's not looking good for the 205 Live guys spreading out to the other rosters. I think that's a sign that 205 Live is being phased out, personally. So yeah. I'm phasing out myself. Anyone who says if you're not watching 205 Live, you're missing out. I would heavily disagree because there's better wrestling out there. Speaking of better wrestling, New Japan and Ring of Honor Tier 2 rankings for the episode. I'm going bottom to top on this one. 10, cool. Firing Squad, new tag champs. 9, Briscoes. They're still the best tag team I can say in Ring of Honor right now. Next to number 8, the Young Bucks. They're damn good. 7, Cody Rhodes for his victory. Not the best match in the world, but the implications mean more at that point. 6 is Chris Sabin. He put in a great match, even though the booking sucks. Spoke my mind on that one. 5 is the Best Friends. So I've combined Trent Beretta and Chucky T. They have looked so good together as a tag team since Beretta's come back to New Japan. And any match that they've been in, be it 6-man tag or a regular tag match, they have looked like $1 million. That's why they're so high on the list. Might be a little too high, to be honest, but they're definitely sticking out, and that's a good thing. 4 is Jeff Cobb, new TV champion. Won Battle of LA recently. I just had to read reviews on that, so he'll get points, some respect points, basically. Him showing up at Ring of Honor, do what he's doing. He's just been floating around other promotions, putting on very good matches. 3 Jay Lethal, 2 Marty Scurll, 1 Will Ospreay. That should be no surprise, based on words said in the podcast. Down to Tier 3. 10, Jake Strong, aka Jack Swagger, is being booked heavily strong, still in, pun not intended, but now it's great, in Lucha Underground. He's breaking ankles and taking objects still, so he put on a very good match recently in Lucha Underground. 9, Lucky Kid, over in WXW. He had a very good singles match building up to the Tag League weekend, which is actually taking place this weekend right now upon recording. So in the next episode will be the Tag League. Yeah, he had a very good singles match against Fred Yehi and cutting good promos backstage, so good stuff there. 8, Pentagon. That should be as no surprise. 7, I'm putting Tracy Williams, Mr. Beyond Wrestling. He's an excellent worker, hard-hitting. 2 straight matches I've seen the guy live, and he's the current Beyond Wrestling TV champion, or the Powerbomb TV champion, as they call it. One of the best unknown indie talents right now, I would say. At least in America. 6, the team CCK / Chris Brooks. 5, the Mexa Blood, Bandito and Flamita. That should be no surprise. 4, Kento Miyahara, something that we didn't touch on in the podcast. All Japan Wrestling had their Royal Road, kind of like a King of the Ring-esque tournament, and Kento Miyahara won. I caught the last couple matches, and there was some good standout guys there, but Kento Miyahara won the damn thing and looked damn good doing it. Not sure about the booking decision with Miyahara to win the tournament, since he just lost the title not too long ago for the promotion, but hey, I guess there's not really anybody they feel comfortable pushing to the top, and Miyahara's that guy, so. 3, Mayo Iwatani. Female makes the list there. She's climbing the indie thing along with the women's rankings. So yeah, I mean, winner of the 5-star Grand Prix. Every match she was in was banger. No problem there. And then 2-1, Walter Jordan Devlin for that OTT match.
Cool.
Yeah, marked out easily there. So I'll be updating the overall rankings and posting those on my Twitter, as I like doing. I'll tag you, Rad, so you can keep up with it too. To see him. And then last but not least, the women's wrestling rankings. 10, Jungle Kiona. 9, Konami. 8, Fabi Apache. I really liked that Impact singles match against number 7, Tessa Blanchard. 6, Hiroyo Matsumoto, the lady killer, Lady Godzilla, whatever her nickname is that she's going around. She's looked good in the Mae Young Classic. That does not include this week's episode of the Mae Young Classic, so I'm looking forward to that. I believe she had a singles match against Toni Storm, so sure. I can't wait to watch that one. 5, Momo Watanabe. 4, Rachel Ellering. 3, Super Rookie Utami Hayashishita. 2, Sumi Sakai, and 1, Mayu Iwatani. So if I'm not mistaken now, that makes, I think, Mayu is now #1 in the women's rankings, finally passing Toni Storm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Toni Storm's been #1 like all year in the women's, but she hasn't been she hasn't had any notable singles matches all summer, and she's just been sitting there just like that. She did have a couple matches, but they weren't like special, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing against Toni Storm, it's just, hey, there's been better stuff out there. So, you know, it's fair enough. I think that's fair enough. So that does it. That's the wrestler rankings. Again, if you're listening to us live, that does it for the podcast. If you're listening to the later release, then next will be the Beyond Wrestling show, and that'll close us out. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Ready.
All right. It was cool to stop, right, JD?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And for those listening live on Periscope and everywhere else, if you guys go ahead, subscribe to us, whether it's on Periscope or head over to Podbean here, subscribe on there, leave us reviews. If you enjoyed the episode that you got to listen to today, then go over to iTunes, Stitcher, leave us a nice little review. That gets us further out there, and that'll get us to continue doing this sucker. I even set up a little donation page finally, links in descriptions, where be it the easiest place would probably be on Twitch, where there's a button. So you know, that'll go to like better equipment, or going to more of the indie wrestling shows to do more interviews, that kind of stuff. You know, it won't just go to my own personal pocket, that kind of deal. That's more of just a trust thing. Yeah. Well, there you go. Thanks, Rad.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Already exporting the file to Wave right now. I'll send it to you here shortly.
Cool. Good deal. I think I'm going to end the stream. Well, I'll keep it going and make sure... No, I didn't hear anyone subscribe, but man, we had a lot of people from Periscope joining all night.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what helps now is that I notice when anybody goes live on Periscope, it comes out on the top of like the timeline on Twitter. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that might help. So that's great. I mean, more viewers, man. Yeah,
this was probably our most viewed episode, and with the quicker kind of more discussion format, I think this is going to be good going forward.
Excellent.
Let's see.
All right, JD.
Yeah, cool.
So
it's getting late, man.
Yeah, I guess. We'll just cut it short here. Like I said, I'm already exporting the file, so I'll send it to you shortly. You'll get it tonight, and that we have another episode in the bag. It was fun, man.
Excellent. Well, cool. I look forward to episode 15.
You got it.
So, I definitely encourage you to watch. I don't expect you to watch WXW, but you know, you have my information. So, definitely check out like the hair versus hair match, and probably the tag team finals. But that's all coming out. I know.
I haven't used that. You sent it in our one-on-one chat, right, on Twitter.
Yeah, I can resend it to you if you want.
Okay, yeah, that'll work. If not, I'll just go ahead and backtrack. It's got to be there somewhere. But yeah, definitely do. And I'll check it out. Just let me know which ones in particular to look at. Yeah,
any match that stands out to me, I'll let you know.
Thoughts on Spotlight for next time?
Ooh,
or you want to think about it since you'll choose it this time.
Yeah.
Okay, just let me know.
Alrighty, and then obviously Progress Wembley. Definitely try and watch that.
You bet.
The biggest indie show in like Europe and who knows
how
long.
Yeah, it sounds like a big deal. Yeah. 30 years.
So, all right, man. Good
all
stuff.
right, dude.